Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto becomes master of wind and Fuinjutsu part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. It was quiet and empty on the streets of Konohagakure no Sato, also known as the village hidden in the leaves, even if it was bigger than most towns. There was no move in the night, not even stars were shining, hidden behind the heavy clouds. The only source of light were street lanterns and few still lighted windows. There weren't many people in the northern part of the city, where were placed more of the biggest mansions. Apart from the 3 shinobi returning from their mission and 1 drunk man, who was returning, or at least trying, to his home, only the occasional ANBU patrols were disturbing stillness of the night. There was one more figure in this quarter. Small one. No higher than 12, 13 years old child. From its build it was clear that it was a boy. Clad in a tight matching pants, long-sleeved shirt, a coat with deep hood and wide sleeves and soft leather boots, everything in gray camo marks. The hood was up, covering his hair and hiding a part of his face in the shadows, already hidden by a blank mask. He also had a gray pouch strapped to the back of his waist. The gray-clad boy was sneaking through the streets, sticking to the shadows. The ANBU patrol walked just a few feet from him, but even when one of them looked directly in his direction he didn't saw him. No wonder. While moving in the middle of the street the boy's figure was melting with the surrounding. In the alley's shadow, while motionless, it was more possible to walk on than see him. Finally, the boy reached his destination. Noticing the good one on the right, he climbed up the tree and looked at his target for this night. The target was a big, 2-level mansion, built in the Western style. From this side the second floor was slightly smaller, leaving place for 2 balconies and a bit of a flat roof. The mansion was surrounded by gardens, with flowers, few trees and a small pool. 2 roads, to the south and to the west, were leading to the gates built in the 6-feet-tall stone wall that was surrounding the whole area. The gray-clad figure was looking around, trying to remember position of the various rooms, potential hides and shadowed places. He noticed a few guards, smiling with satisfaction under the mask when he saw that they were just normal thugs. He was able to sneak behind the shinobi's backs. It was harder, but still possible, but there was always a risk that he'd walk on a sensor. Here, he already found at least 4 paths that would easily lead him in. Of course, that could also mean that at the end of those ways awaited traps. This was actually quite regular. If they were the standard traps, then they weren't a problem. Disposing or finding another way, if disposing is impossible. He found an undisposable trap only once. He wanted to enter through the attic, going in through the clap in the floor, but to the downside of it was attached a wire. He was about to cut it through the small crack when he noticed the whole mechanism. The wire was attached to the sound bomb that was placed in weak balance on a steel rod. Only the wire was holding everything up, so if he would open it, he would trigger the bomb, but if he would cut the wire, everything would fall, triggering itself. If he would have one more person with him, he would be able to get through, but in his position he had to find another way. The homemade, non-standard ones were different. They're slimy, unpredictable, painful, or all at once. To this last group he could count that damn beehive above the balcony door in the unused bedroom on the 2nd floor. Thankfully he dropped it when he was running, so he was already gone when the angry bees came out of their ball. The 2 chasing him guards weren't so lucky. When he saw almost everything that was there to see, cause he always assumed that he had missed something. That way he was always on guard. Better safe than sorry, he rushed into motion. Jumping forward from his tree he landed on the wall that was surrounding the whole mansion and quickly slipped down, hiding into the wall's shadow. He looked around, just to be sure that what he saw earlier and sensed now was accurate, and there wasn't anyone around. Once sure, he sprung into action, running to the nearby tree, using every bit of shadow to hide. He regretted that there wasn't any gaps in the layer of cloud. A bit of moonlight would make the shadows deeper. Nevertheless, using the same technique he passed the distance between the wall and the proper mansion, disappearing every moment, melting with the surrounding like a ghost. No one saw him, not even when he ran a few feet in front of patrolling guard. When he was close to the house he speed up and run up the wall. After making 7 steps he jumped and caught the roof of the 1st floor, pulling himself up. When he was already on the roof he crouched and looked around for any sign of alarm. Every single move, from the jump on the wall to the crouch and look behind, was done quieter than falling of the leaf. There were 3 scrapes of a tiled roof with 2 balconies between them. The boy was standing on the far left scrap. He crept to the nearest window, looking through it. Inside he saw a kitchen, with 2 maids still working. He knew that he wouldn't go through this one since he saw the light in the window when he was still on the tree, but it was good to know a few more details. This could help him later. Leaping over the rail the figure jumped on the 1st balcony. The glass doors that led inside were also lighted, so he approached them carefully, looking inside to see an office, with wooden walls, a desk and few cabinets full of books. He also saw the back of a man in dark blue kimono with brown hair, that were showing signs of graying, sitting behind the desk. In front of the desk another man was standing. This one looked to be around 30, had dark hair and wore plain, brown kimono top and black baggy pants. He was standing with his hands nervously folding in front of him and his eyes in his brown sandals. The one behind the desk was yelling at him so loud that the boy heard him through the closed doors. "Before, don't you dare to sell anything to that boy, do you understand?" The standing one said something, which he didn't heard, but was interrupted by another yell. "I'm not paying you for thinking, I'm paying you for working and listening to orders. And right now I'm ordering you to throw that demon out if you see him ever again in my..." The boy crept away, no longer interested. He jumped over the railing, landing on second scrap of the tiled roof. He looked through the window, this time dark, and grinned under his mask. What he was looking at was a wardrobe. Judging from the dresses, it was a woman's wardrobe, and judging from their sizes, the woman was big. Without too much trouble he quietly opened the window and jumped inside. Looking around he searched for something interesting. Ignoring the dresses, corsets, kimonos, scarves and many other things he walked to one of the walls where he found a few cabinets. On their shelves he finally found what he was looking for. He reached to his pouch and drew a book with a blank, brown cover. Opening it at one of the first pages he revealed a seal and started putting his findings in it: 3 necklaces, one of them with small diamond in it, 6 pairs of earrings, bracelet, and at least 8 rings. He was counting in thoughts his earnings when he heard the doors opening. He was hidden behind the labyrinth of clothes, but he had to silently made it to the window. Silently and quickly before who leave the window open. He heard a young feminine voice, few steps of boots with heels and sound of closing the window. Just great, the boy thought. Deciding that there was nothing he could do about it now, the thief started sneaking towards the, as he now noticed, still open doors. When he was walking out on the hall, dimly lit, with a blue carpet through the middle, he stole one last glance behind to see a blonde-haired girl in a maid outfit ruffling through the clothes. He crept through the hall, straining his senses to make sure that he wouldn't bump into someone. Is somebody there? Damn it! She had to see my shadow. Hearing the maid's steps approaching, he quickly reached the nearest door and jumped inside, hoping that she didn't hear the click of the closing doors. He stood there for a few seconds, straining his hearing and sixth sense, until he heard the footsteps fading away. Breathing inwardly with relief, he looked around. He found himself in a bedroom. Judging by the pink color everywhere, it was a girl's bedroom. Opposite to him, he saw a door leading towards the balcony, open. On left was a closet and a small cabinet with a small mirror and few cosmetics. On right, a king-sized bed and a night table next to it. He also saw someone under the sheets. He was heading to the balcony when he saw something shining on the night table in the slight light of the street lanterns. When he came closer, apart from a lamp and a photo of a dark blue-haired woman in mid-20s, he saw a beautiful bracelet. Made of silver, in the shape of 2 dragons, with intertwined tails, that were holding small emerald with their fangs. He picked it up. It was greatly made, with care to the details. Someone who knows about jewelry would pay a lot for it. Don't take it. He flinched inwardly, but his body reacted on its own. Out of nowhere, a kunai appeared in his hand, and he put it just under the girl's jaw. She was looking at him with green eyes still covered by her blue hair, but he didn't saw fear in them. He only saw pleading. "Please," she begged, seeming to not caring about the blade on her throat. "It's from my mother, don't." Her eyes rolled to the back of her skull when he knocked her out with the ring of another kunai that appeared in his other hand. He picked the bracelet from the sheets where he dropped it. He looked at the unconscious girl with understanding in his eyes. Somebody might say that it was stupid to think about bracelet when facing an armed stranger in the middle of the night, in the middle of someone's bedroom, but he knew why she had done that. He knew her after all. He would do the same if he, help! Someone stole Karusuke-sama jewelry. Damn. That maid must have seen the empty shelves. Go downstairs and tell the others. Hami, intruder might still be here. Go check Kaisha-sama bedroom, I'll go to the office. Deep male voice, one used to giving orders. Few quick steps were heard approaching the bedroom's door before they were opened quickly, though quietly. A tall man with brown hair came inside. Light was coming from the hall, hiding his facial features in the shadow. His hand was resting on the katana's hilt, while his eyes were scanning the room. When his look rested on the right side of the room, he relaxed. Nobody was here. The guard walked to the balcony and closed the doors. Comfort aside, if there was a thief somewhere in the mansion, Kaisha-sama's safety was more important than a bit of fresh air. He looked at her sleeping figure, wondering why didn't she wake up. They're shouting quite loud. Shrugging it off, he walked out to report that there aren't and rather weren't anyone inside. After all, Kaisha-sama's bracelet was still lying on the night table. Fujio sighed, reading a report from one of his informants. Konoha's shinobi found another one of his magazines. Thanks whoever was up there, this one was empty in that moment, but he has already lost 2 in this month. As well as at least 8 men. Managing underworld in the shinobi village was a hard, dangerous, and worthy business. Hard cause Hokage shinobi were more than willing to hunt every criminal in the village, encouraged by a prize for every one of them. Good prize. Dangerous, because of the great interrogation techniques that the shinobi possessed. There weren't many thieves that could withstand it, which meant that every caught thug could give him out. Fujio managed to avoid it only because there was only a handful of people that knew his real identity. He was hiring a few men to deceive most of the people about their leader's true identity. And as for worthy selling informations from and to the shinobi village was a very good business, Fujio cursed, reaching the name of another caught man. He was one of the best. Of course, to work in Konoha he had to be at least great, but Kugo was an elite. Experienced missing nin from Kumo. But it looked like it wasn't enough. Of course, Fujio could get him out. The current Hokage was old and weak. Even the council, this band of loud, self-loving idiots, managed to trick him to pass a few laws, for example to lower academy standards so more of the councilman's children could graduate. But while getting Kugo out was simple, just a few bribes in the proper hands, he was already burned. Fujio had to find him a new city. Sighing, he tossed report on the desk and reached for a bottle with sake. Problems? Fujio nearly fell from his chair hearing the quiet voice. Looking up he saw a gray-clad boy sitting in the chair in front of his desk. Damn it, Kokiai! How he trailed off. He would never know how this child managed to sneak to his guarded office without him, or anyone else, noticing. Couldn't you knock? You're asking a thief why didn't he knock? He heard amusement in Kokiai's voice. Fujio sighed. You know you should announce yourself, right? Really? Why nobody told me about it? I did. At least 100 times. Oh sorry. I had to forgot. Otherwise I would announce myself. 'Cause I really care, you know? Kokiai didn't even try to hide irony. So, what happened? Fujio thought for a while and decided that he would learn anyway. They caught Kugo and found another hideout. Another? Something happened around there? Or are they just went there out of nowhere? Out of nowhere. Then maybe you have a rat? Fujio's eyes widened. There was going to be a delivery today, but it was delayed. If everything would go as planned this magazine wouldn't be empty. It could have been just a coincidence. But this sudden attack if something would have happened around the hide, the ninja that would came there might found something. Bad luck. But it was calm around for the last few days. Even the rabbits, young slums kids, didn't attack anyone in the last few days there. Looks like I have more work, Fujio muttered. Okay, he said louder, looking at his guest's black mask. What did you came here for? Oh? You don't like me here? Kokiai asked in a mock-hurt tone. Fujio only sent him a glare. Okay, I was on a trip and have a few souvenirs if you're interested. Really? Vacations? Where, if you don't mind my asking? You don't know already? You said yourself that you have every information in Konoha. Fujio cursed inwardly, almost seeing mocking grin behind that damn mask. Kuruski, Kokiai added, probably because he knew that he would learn about it before noon. Or in half an hour if he try. Fujio only nodded, not showing any emotions. Okay, show me what you've got. Kokiai stood up and drew a book from his pouch. Opening it at the proper page, he unsealed his loot. Fujio started picking jewelry, muttering to himself. Silver real nice, sapphire ruby gold one I would say, about 200,000 Rio. 600,000. Fujio looked at him, wondering if the thief knew what he was talking about or as he was just trying to bargain with him. When silence grew longer, Kokiai sighed. Fujio, I know you like boys, but I'm not interested, so stop your daydreaming and decide. I don't have all night. I have to sleep well. I'm still a child, you know. The head of the Konoha's underground gritted his teeth, but he didn't respond to the insult. He wouldn't dare. This boy was intimidating. He knew Kokiai for 2 years already, but he was still feeling uncertain, to not said scared, in his presence. And the fact that the thief was only a child didn't help. Always clad in his gray outfit, not showing even the smallest part of his body. Only those eyes piercing into Fujio. 2 icy blue eyes, big as child's, warm as said ice, full of irony, or emotionless, blank. Eyes of someone who has done a lot to survive and who could do more. His voice was the same. On one side, it was a voice of a small boy, even before the mutation. But on the other side it was full of sarcasm, cold, and experienced. Voice of someone who knew how tough life could be. Fujio Kokiai's voice brought him out of his thoughts. Oh yeah, right, you said 600,000? Not too much? They're pretty, but you're doing this on purpose or are you just so stupid? Fujio stopped himself from throwing something at this brat. I don't have time to bargain, so I said straight what I want. Again. This was happening again. It was a conversation between an adult and a child. An employer and an employee. So why it was an adult and an employer that was sweating and trembling? Kokiai didn't even say anything threatening. Only this cold voice. Those blank eyes. And maybe this kunai, that appeared out of nowhere in his hand, that was spinning between his fingers like a coin. Okay, as you want then, said Fujio, standing up, hiding the fact that his hands were shaking. Wait a second, I'll be right back. With that he walked out of the office. Kokiai leaned deeper into the chair and focused on his senses. He felt someone behind the wall on the right, probably a hidden door, as well as 2 more in the hall and 3 in the room on the other side. All 6 were waiting for any sigh of hostility, or Fujio's sign, to show him a way out, very gently. Not that they would manage to. They were no match for him. It was stupid actually. Meeting with a ninja and thinking that normal thugs will help. The door opened again and Fujio came in with a bag. He tossed it on desk in front of the thief. Here 550,000 Rio. Those toys are worth more than 600,000, but since they're from Kuruski, treat the rest as a compensation for my risk. He had to play hard. His subordinates were watching. He couldn't lose his face. And Kokiai knew that. If he decided to destroy him, okay, let it be like that. Fujio sighed inwardly in relief and remembered something. Oh yeah, I have a job for you. Not interested, Kokiai interrupted, standing and taking the bag, his kunai disappearing. Fujio was about to stop this cocky brat when he continued, don't try to find me. And before he could say anything else, Kokiai was out. Fujio gritted his teeth, frustrated. He wanted to send someone to bring the brat back, to teach him some respect. But he couldn't. First, if Kokiai didn't want to be found, nobody would find him. Second, he already has lost few people that he sent to follow the young thief. Kokiai walked out of the hideout's hidden entrance. He took a deep breath, tasting the night air, and drew his book to seal the money. Once done, he concentrated and sensed two men walking down the nearby street, few kids sleeping in the old shack in front of him, guard observing him from his hide on left, and a patrol of shinobi jumping through the roofs. With that knowledge, Kokiai retreated deeper into the alley. Later, the guard was swearing that he melted with the shadows, like as if he was part of them. The young thief appeared again a few streets to the east, jumping on the roof of the building from the alley next to it. Once there, he took off his hood and mask, revealing a mass of wild red spikes and a face of a young, around 13 years old boy with 3 whiskers-like marks on each cheek. The boy jumped to the east, in the direction of his apartment, noticing the sun that was starting to rise. Great, Naruto thought with resignation, another sleepless night. Troublesome. Nara Shikamaru was in puzzle. And he hated it. He was Nara's clan heir, son of the current Konoha Shinobi Forces commander, Nara Shikaku, the most intelligent man in the whole village. But he couldn't solve one puzzle. This puzzle's name was Naruto again? Chuji asked, sitting next to him. Shikamaru looked at him. Chuji Akimichi was his best friend. He had brown, medium-length hair and a chubby face. He also, like all Akimichi, was FM, that is, big-boned. Word on F was taboo near Chuji, or any of his clansmen by the way. Unless you didn't have anything against a few weeks in a hospital. If you're lucky. Aside from that incident, Chuji was very kind, gentle, and a bit shy. He was wearing a short-sleeved jacket over a white shirt with a kanji for food on it, long white scarf around his neck, black shorts and small earrings. Also his forearms and legs were bandaged. Shika, it's starting to look like an obsession. Ino turned around, looking at the boys in the desk behind her. She had a long blonde hair tied into a high ponytail with few bangs covering right side of her face and blue eyes. She was clad in a blouse with high collar and apron-like skirt, all purple, with bandages wrapped around her thighs and waist. She also had purple and white warmers reaching from her wrists to above elbows. Yamanaka Ino wasn't his friend. She was too bossy and troublesome to be his friend. But their fathers, along with Chuji's, were teammates in their Genin times, so he knew her quite well. Ino was also the only one, apart from him, that found that something was odd about Naruto. Her clan, Yamanaka, was famous from their mind techniques and psychological skills. Ino found Naruto strange when she was practicing reading body language and facial expressions. It was one of the exercises meant to prepare her to using mind techniques. She wasn't actually supposed to use it on her classmates, but she couldn't help but to want to know more about a certain boy in the class. Then she used it on the others out of simple curiosity. Naruto was one of the last. Until then she thought about him as a quiet and not interesting commoner. And when she tried to read him he was relaxed and bored. This was pretty much like Shikamaru, but in Naruto's case there was something strange about it, like as it was a fake. One of her next exercises was a half technique, allowing her to read the other's feelings. It was one of the steps to learn her first Yamanaka mind technique, mind invasion. This time Naruto was one of the first to try on her new skill, losing only with certain boy again. She was very curious, but she found only disappointment in both cases. This time there wasn't even some fake curtain. There was completely nothing. Both boys were unreadable, like a blank sheets of paper. She asked her father, Yamanaka Inoichi, about this. Apart from a good scolding, she received quite surprising answer. Something like that was common through the older shinobi. It was like a defense system, acquired through training or some mental trauma, that every shinobi was someday developing. So that meant that Naruto was receiving a special training or lived through something awful. She had no idea which. As for Sasuke, the second boy, it wasn't hard to guess which one it was. Death of a whole family wasn't a pleasant experience. Shikamaru learned about her discovery during one of their father's meetings. She accidentally slipped about her use of a clan technique on Naruto, and Shikamaru drew the rest out of her. And, to her surprise, told her about his revelations. It's funny, but Shikamaru started his investigation when the redhead became less troublesome. When they first met in the academy, Naruto was a loudmouth, happy-go-lucky idiot. He was very friendly, always with a huge happy grin on his face and a mass of energy in his guts. He was wearing bright clothes, oranges and whites. He wasn't paying attention during classes, was skipping them, he even pulled a few pranks on the teachers. He was also kind of clumsy. Because of all of this he started to gain the title of the class clown. And then, after half a year, and a few days of absence he changed. At first nobody noticed. not his change. His very presence. He came early and sat in the back of the class, away from anyone. They didn't notice him until their teacher, Yumino Irika, started checking the attendance. When he said quietly present in response for his name, everyone turned to see a new Naruto Uzumaki. His face-splitting grin was replaced by a blank, maybe a bit bored expression. In the place of his white t-shirts and orange pants, he was wearing simple brown baggy trousers, dark blue shirt and black sleeveless jacket. Before, whole his appearance was shouting, "Look at me!" Now only his red, spiky hair went plain. When Irika-sensei saw him, he was by the redhead's side in a second, yelling at him for being absent, asking him if he was alright and dragging him out, saying something about the Hokage. Shikamaru assumed that Naruto had some kind of accident, or pulled another prank. This was when Shikamaru started to watch him. Most of the class lost their interest after a plus few days, but he was curious what happened to cause such a huge change. At least in the beginning, because later he began noticing other things. First was the treatment from the adults. Apart from Irika, who was rather neutral, most of the teachers were scolding and punishing Naruto for everything they could, even for such stupid things like a wrong way of raising a hand, not too polite tone, or distracting others when somebody made some mistake. Second thing he noticed 2 years later. It was during physical week, a week during which they were doing only physical training, without theory. Shikamaru quickly noticed that Naruto was very worn out, and it only deepened in time. And then, on the third day, he saw something strange. It happened during a spar tournament. In one of the first fights, Naruto was against Sasakiba Kikusuke, son of the councilman Sasakiba. Both of them were rather weak, so the fight wasn't that exciting. That meant that not many saw what happened. What Shikamaru saw was Naruto taking a strange stance in the middle of the fight, after receiving a punch to the face. When Kikusuke attacked, Naruto evaded 2 of his punches, ducked under a kick and hit his opponent in the stomach while standing up, with so much force that the poor Sasakiba was sent flying. As a reward for winning his fight, Naruto was thrown out of the tournament, and forced to clean the class's nice reward for learning a new fighting style. Cause what Shikamaru saw was definitely not an academy stance. The only other students that weren't using academy fighting style were Uchiha Sasuke, Chuji, Inuzuka Kiba and Hyuga Hinata, but they were all from clans that were using mostly taijutsu, or at least a lot, so it was understandable. But how Naruto, an orphan without a clan, learned a new fighting style? On the next day the Uzumaki was almost punished again. Unfortunately, not for showing something more. It was because he passed out. The only thing that saved him from a punishment was Irika, that saw him from the other side of the training grounds and took him to the hospital before any of the other teachers had a chance to scold the redhead. After that, Naruto started to watch himself. Shikamaru was caught a few times by the young Uzumaki. It looked like the redhead has noticed his "Shut up, you little brats." Shika almost fell off his chair, looking at the, at least 10 times bigger than normally, head of his teacher, Yumino Irika. Ending his signature, at least in this class, technique, Irika looked around. He was a tall man with brown hair tied into a pineapple ponytail and brown eyes. He had a horizontal scar across his nose, but nobody knew how he received it. He was wearing a standard Chunin outfit and a very big tick mark on his forehead. "Ino, could you please wake up Naruto, before I do this by throwing him through the window?" asked the teacher in a forced calm voice. Ino sighed and walked to the tired Uzumaki, smacking him up his head. "Wake up, lazy bum." Naruto groaned and looked at her with annoyance. "What do you want, Ino?" His look turned from annoyance to mocking. "I told you, only 1 kiss per week." Everyone snorted at that, which quickly turned into a full-blown laugh when they saw Ino's embarrassed expression. But the huge blush sported by the young Yamanaka wasn't there only because of the embarrassment. Her imagination was already working, showing her images of her and Naruto, on the hill, kissing, while full moon was. No! No, 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 no! I like Sasuke-kun. Not Naruto. Stop thinking about Naruto and his NO. Sasuke-kun, remember, Sasuke-kun, she ordered herself, trying to suppress the blush and raising her hand to punch this handsome, that is, stupid redhead. "Alright, Ino, sit down. Calm down, guys." Most of the class were whining, but Irika really didn't want to fight right now. "Now, as you all probably know," he continued when everybody's attention was back on him, "today's the day of your Genin exams. If you think that you're not ready, you can refuse to participate in it and stay for another year. Anybody who wants to stay?" He asked only because he had to. He was sure that nobody would decide to stay. "Okay, if we settled that, then let's move on. Your test is going to be divided to 4 parts: knowledge, weapons, taijutsu and ninjutsu. First is knowledge, so take your pencils, guys." He grinned hearing their groans. After an hour everybody gave Irika their sheets and walked outside. The taijutsu part went without surprises. Uchiha Sasuke was the best, beating Inuzuka Kiba quite quickly. He completely ignored his fangirl's praises, but he had a satisfied smirk on his face. Shikamaru was fighting with Naruto, the redhead won, but their performance wasn't too flashy, just enough to pass. Weapons was similar. The Uchiha was the best, hitting all targets in the center. His fangirls were fawning, and Naruto slipped by a hairbreadth. To pass the ninjutsu test, the students had to perform 3 academy techniques: clone, change, and substitution. Most of those who passed to this point were calm, cause those 3 were rather easy. When it came to Naruto, he quietly walked inside the class where the teachers were testing them. Walking through the door, he saw Irika sitting behind the table in front of him and Mizuki, Irika's assistant, sitting in the far corner of the room. Okay, Naruto, you know what to do. First, change. The young Uzumaki put his hands in the hand seal and changed into Irika. Good, now substitution. Next thing Irika saw was himself sitting in a chair behind the desk. He stared at this for a few seconds, until Naruto dropped the change, revealing himself. He changed himself and me and switched our places with substitution. And judging from Mizuki's face, he didn't notice anything. Irika was impressed. Changing place with other person wasn't that hard, but needed a lot of hard work to reach, and without the hand seals it was even harder. It was at least low chunin level skill. Very good, Naruto, I'm impressed actually. Now clone, Irika said, frowning slightly. 3 days ago Naruto couldn't make even one healthy clone. They're all sick and lifeless. By academy rules, he couldn't pass him without this jutsu, but this situation showed him that the redhead had great potential, despite his poor grades. He was going to talk about this with Hokage. Naruto casually put his right hand into pocket, while raising his left to make half-tiger hand seal and said, clone technique. Without even the smallest cloud of smoke appeared 13 exact copies of Uzumaki, with his red spiky hair, brown baggy trousers, dark green t-shirt and black leather shoes. Wow, Naruto! You couldn't make even one 3 days ago. Irika was positively stunned. Well, I worked a lot and got a hang of it yesterday, said Naruto, letting go of the tag in his pocket and scratching the back of his head. Great job, Naruto. Congratulations, you pass. Irika handed him a protector with a smile on his face. Thanks, Irika-sensei, said Naruto with a small hesitation, taking his hitate. His gratefulness was genuine. Irika was one of the few people who were treating him normally. Damn, I had such a great plan. Mizuki's face was blank, but inside he's burning with rage. What am I going to do now? I can't steal this scroll myself. It's too risky, damn demon. Kakashi? The Jounin asked with his only visible eye still in his orange book. I asked, do you have any request about your Genin team? Sarutobi Hiruzen, Sandaime Hokage of Konoha, looked at one of his best and laziest ninja with slight impatience. Oh? Sorry, Hokage-sama. Kakashi closed and hid his book, probably more because of the stares of a few female Jounins than Hokage. I have only one request. I received this request already, Sandaime interrupted. Uchiha Sasuke will be on your team as you wish, saying, you the Hokage meant, council, now Toriko, any? Actually, this time it was Kakashi's turn to interrupt. I wasn't talking about Sasuke. This is the council's request, not mine. Everybody looked at the one-eyed Jounin, surprised. If he had a request himself, then that meant that he wanted to become sensei for someone this year. Who are you and what have you done with Kakashi? Thought almost everyone. So who do you want, Kakashi? Asked Hokage, though he already had his suspicions. After all, Kakashi was one of those who knew Uzumaki Naruto. Huh? You want the worst student in the class? Maybe in the whole year? Asked Sarutobi Asuma, Hiruzen's son, who already decided that he want the new Inoshikacho trio. From what I heard, he couldn't even do a single clone. His clone problem is his tenant fault. Huh, tell me, what is a trademark of all Jinchuriki? Kakashi asked. I don't know, turning into a giant beast with a lot of tails, huge chakra reserves, special Jinchuriki. Exactly, huge chakra reserves, Kakashi pointed out. And what can you tell me about control when somebody have so much chakra? His question quickly put one answer in every mind. Non-existent, muttered Yuhi Kurenai, a fresh Jounin who was about to receive her first team. Kakashi is right, the Hokage said. I was going to pass him despite this. But Yumino Irika, his class teacher, informed me that he managed to create 13 clones during his test. A few surprised looks were sent to him, a few understanding to Kakashi. So that's why you want him, Kakashi? Somebody from behind asked. Actually, I heard about this for the first time. Now all looks were surprised. First? So then why do you? 'Cause I think he's holding back, Kakashi interrupted. I saw him during his weapon test and I can tell that he hit exactly where he wanted. Also, he passed knowledge test only just. So? He was lucky. I would say that too, but all his tests from the last 3 years were like that. But why? Why would he hold himself back? Kurenai wondered. Good question, Kakashi said. Okay, I take it under consideration. Hokage's voice brought them out of their thoughts. Now, let's move on. Toriko, any requests? Kakashi, stay with me for a while. The meeting was over. Jounins were walking out, discussing about their teams and making plans for their tests. But one of them was stopped by Hokage's voice. What it is, Hokage-sama? Kakashi asked when they're left alone. I just want to make sure that you know what you're doing. Seeing Kakashi's questioning look, Hiruzen added, I'm talking about Naruto's parents. Oh yeah, the one-eyed Jounin's frown disappeared, I know, but really, Hokage-sama, my presence would only be a confirmation. Nobody would be able to guess who his parents are knowing only that I'm his sensei. Well, I think you're right, Hiruzen nodded, sighing and turning around to look on the village. I hope you also know that, as his sensei, his safety is now on your shoulders. I don't think that would be a problem, Kakashi responded. He can take care of himself. What do you mean? When have you received last report about an attack on Naruto? The Jounin asked in return. Few weeks ago, Hokage said. He was chased by a few drunk Chunins. He ran from them. And when have you received the last report about an attack in which Naruto have been injured? This time Hokage took more time to think, at least 2 years ago. That's because he became so good at hiding that he managed to avoid most of those attacks. Even the good ones. Sandame's shoulders rose a bit. Good ones? This Anbu attack 5 years ago wasn't the only coordinated one. Hokage turned around looking with concern at his Jounin and nodding for him to continue. 2 months ago a few young Chunins and 2 Jounins were searching through the slums in the southern part of the city. They said that they saw a foreign ninja, but one of my friends saw them chasing after Naruto. Why wasn't I informed about this? Hokage's voice became cold, reminding Kakashi his old nickname, God of Shinobi, cause we couldn't prove anything. According to the Konoha's law, for mind reading we had to have at least 3 proofs. They could always stick to the story with the foreign ninja and say that following Naruto was just a coincidence. Slight annoyance was evident in Kakashi's voice. We had only our word against theirs. Hokage nodded. He also didn't like it, but it was a law established by the Nidaime to prevent abusing of the mind techniques. I assume that there were other incidents like this. Hi, Hokage-sama. Kakashi didn't elaborate. I want you to report me about them from now on, Hokage said after a bit of though, turning to the window again. I also want you to discover Naruto's level, and why did he hide it? Hi, Hokage-sama. Sarutobi waved, allowing Kakashi to leave and looked at the Hokage mountain. He was thinking about his successor's last wish when he noticed that the Jounin didn't leave. Anything else? Hokage-sama, about this shinobi attackers. Kakashi trailed off. What it is? Hokage hurried him while still looking out the window. They seemed to understood the whole sealing process. They aren't attacking him because they're afraid, but because they hate him, or rather the Kyuubi. They just want to hurt the fox. Even he stopped for a second, but quickly continued, even if this means sacrificing Naruto. Hokage closed his eyes. That was much more dangerous. He could understand fear. Scared people were able to do a lot, but they were acting on impulses, without thinking about consequences. But if what Kakashi said was true, then they're acting on grief. They were still mourning their loss, and wanted someone to pay for it. And since they had their killer in the village, they wanted to make him suffer. The worst thing was that it was pointless. By attacking him they won't hurt Kyuubi, they will only hurt Naruto. The fox won't even feel anything, and if they kill the boy, the Kyuubi will be free. At least for a while. Because killed Biju do not die. It just disappears to, in the other place, after few years, appear again, free and untamed. The only thing they will gain is a few years of peace, after which they will be forced to take care of the unleashed giant fox. I understand. You're dismissed. Hi, Hokage-sama. This time Kakashi left Hokage alone with his own thoughts. And his own grief. I'm really sorry I let this happen, Minato-kun. Naruto was waiting. He was also waiting an hour ago, and even too, the rest of their class were already picked by their Jounin senseis. He and his new teammates were waiting patiently for the past 3 hours. Well, patiently is probably a wrong word. Naruto was trying to sleep. Trying was the keyword. After years of sleeping in a loud class, someone could say that he should be able to sleep through everything. But ignoring general noise of the whole class was so much easier than ignoring screeches of one pink-haired banshee. Where is he? Said Banshee screamed. Sakura, Naruto was trying really hard to be calm. Can you please be a little quieter? I'm trying to sleep here. It's not my fault that our sensei is late. No, probably not, but if you'll scream a bit louder than me, going deaf is going to be your fault. And who cares about you? Right, Sasuke-kun? She added in a too-sweat tone, looking at her crush. One more info about Sakura. She was a fangirl. Well, like almost every girl in their year actually, but Sakura was drastic. The object of her fawns was sitting near the window with his usual moody demeanor. Uchiha Sasuke, last survivor of the Uchiha clan slaughtered by his own brother, Itachi. Rookie of the year, best of the best, elite of Konoha with a stick so deep up his ass that it was rising his duck-butt-like hair. He surely was skilled, Naruto truly admitted that. But it wasn't anything special, considering all his training. And with all that help from the kissing his ass council, older shinobis and fawning civilians, Uchiha-sama should be already on Chunin level. Naruto considered himself to be even with him, and he had only basics, few books found in the garbage, and what he learned himself. The door slid open and head with a black mask covering everything under his eyes. Left eye covered by his Hittite and silver, gravity-defying hair popped inside. Hi guys. He said with his only visible eye closed and turned you-like shape. Sorry, I'm a little late. A little? Ouch, that one was loud, thought Naruto. We're waiting for 3 hours. Ma, don't be so angry. Meet me at the roof in 5 minutes. I'm waiting. And he disappeared in the swirl of leaves. Hey! Screamed Banshee to the absent Jounin. What does he think he is? He's late for 3 hours and now he said he's waiting? I'm going to. Sakura, Naruto calmly interrupted, standing up and following Sasuke out of the class. Shut up. Naruto. You slamming the door quieted her for a few seconds. Kakashi was looking at his new students. Haruno Sakura, book smart, but lacking in physical. Wearing a red kimono-like dress with white stripes and circles, blue shinobi sandals and black shorts. Her Hitai was holding her long pink hair. No kunai pouch. Let's learn a bit more, the one-eyed Jounin thought. Okay, guys, tell me something about yourself. You know, name, likes, dislikes, maybe a dream, that sort of things. Pinky, you first. Don't call me Pinky, Sakura screeched. Sitting beside her, Sasuke flinched a bit. Naruto was still looking asleep on her other side. Ma, don't need to be so angry, Kakashi calmed her, wondering why nobody wrote in her file that she had such a weapon. So? Go on. But I'm not quite sure, what do you mean? Sakura looked at him helplessly. Maybe you go first and show us how to do it, sensei. On the outside he just shrugged, but inside he was frowning. She is trying to gather some information, or she's just dumb. Well, my name is Hatake Kakashi. I don't like or dislike anything that much. I have a lot of hobbies. And as for my dream, not your business, he ended with his eye smile, grinning inwardly when he saw sweat drops on his awake students. Now you. And my name is Haruno Sakura. I like She glanced at Sasuke. My hobby as well. Another glance at the raven-haired boy. And my dream is. She looked at Sasuke. Blush appeared on her face and she hid her face in hands, squealing loudly. Now I understand her lack in physical part, thought Kakashi. She's a fangirl. Why nobody wrote that too? We have to take care of it. If they make it through the test, okay. So, let's go on. Great. Amo, you're on. Sasuke just glared at him. Uchiha Sasuke. Rookie of the Year. Genius. Wearing a dark blue short-sleeved shirt with high collar and Uchiha crest on his back, white pants reaching just under his knees, blue shinobi sandals and white warmers on his forearms. His hitai was tied around his forehead. He had one kunai pouch on his right leg and another bigger on his lower back. Name's Uchiha Sasuke. I don't like too many things to say, like only few. My ambition is to rebuild my clan and to kill someone. Sakura started fawning about how cool Sasuke was. Kakashi was analyzing what he learned. He didn't know why, but knew what Itachi had done to his brother. Killing someone's parents in front of his eyes and putting him under genjutsu to show it over and over for hours was cruel enough, even without the knowledge that the person who had done all this was his brother. Kakashi was expecting hate in the young Uchiha, but it seemed far stronger than he thought. Looks like I'm going to have a lot of work with him, Kakashi thought, turning his attention to his last, still seemingly sleeping, student, Uzumaki Naruto. Son of Kakashi's sensei. Dead last of the class, able to overrun ANBU. The boy was wearing black baggy pants, matching sleeveless shirt with a zipper open to his collarbone revealing his hitai tied around his neck. He had also black leather boots, gray camel warmers on his elbows and matching fingerless gloves with metal on their backs. He had 2 pouches on his lower back, but they seemed to be filled with books. Kakashi also caught a glimpse of some markings on his gloves. Seals? He's definitely not a dead last. Sleepyhead, your turn, he said loudly. Naruto groaned, opening one of his eyes and giving Kakashi a bored look. Do I really have to? Jounin shrugged. I would really appreciate that. Naruto sighed. My name is Uzumaki Naruto and I don't like talking about myself. Everyone sweat-roped. Damn, he's better than me, Kakashi thought. And he isn't going to make things easier. I'm going to have a lot of work with them, that is, if they make it. Okay, we all said something about ourselves mostly, he added, looking at Naruto who closed his eye again. So I have only one more thing to say. Tomorrow we will have a test. If you won't pass it, you're going back to the academy. He grinned inwardly when he saw shock and fear on his Genin's faces and frowned seeing unchanged, bored look on Naruto's. He knew, or he's great at hiding his feelings. But what about test academy T-test, stuttered Sakura. Pre-test. Only to weed out hopeless cases. So, meet me tomorrow at training ground 7, 5 a.m. sharp. That would be. He was interrupted by the appearing of 3 new figures via body flicker next to him. First was a beautiful woman with long, dark hair and ruby eyes. She was wearing a dress that looked like made of bandages, that was reaching to her thighs, with mesh shirt visible underneath and red sleeve on right arm. She had bandages wrapped around her thighs and her arms, from elbow to her hands, without fingers. She also had black shinobi sandals and hitai tied around her forehead. Second figure was a tall man with short hair and beard. They're black, but here and there few gray hairs could be found. He was wearing standard Jounin outfit, with his hitai tied around his forehead, white shawl with some red and blue symbols around his waist and kunai pouch on his right thigh. He had also unlighted cigarette in mouth. The last one was also a man. As his companion, he was wearing standard Jounin outfit, but he had longer, shoulder-length gray hair and gray, kind of dull eyes. He had also, aside from pouches like others, 2 long daggers on his thighs. Hey Kakashi, the one with the cigarette said, can we talk for a while? Sure. You guys, he turned to the Genins, are free for now. Actually, dark-haired woman interrupted. We want you 3 to wait while we're talking, okay? Kakashi sent her a lazy look, frowning inwardly. What did they want from his Genins? Okay, guys, give us a second. When they nodded, he stood up and disappeared in the swirl of leaves with his fellow Jounins. Strange, Sakura murmured, frowning slightly. What's strange? Sasuke asked. He probably just received a mission, and they took him to talk without witnesses, period. Well, maybe, Sakura said, unwilling to disagree with her Sasuke-kun. Idiot, Naruto muttered under his breath, but Sasuke heard him nonetheless. What was that, dead last? He asked, glaring at the redhead, who didn't even open his eyes. If you have something to say, then feel free to say it, Uchiha added, still glaring at Naruto, while Sakura only looked from one to another, easily felling the tension in the air. Naruto opened his eyes and was about to answer Sasuke, but was interrupted by Kakashi's appearing. Sorry, but we have a little change of plans. Our meeting will be at 1 p.m. at the training ground 73. Why? Naruto interrupted. 'Cause I have a mission tomorrow, Kakashi said, looking straight at him. You have a mission, sure, Naruto muttered, not even trying to hide the sarcasm, though keeping it quiet enough that only Sasuke and Sakura heard him. Don't be late, guys. With those words, Kakashi disappeared again. HN said so. Sasuke's superior smirk didn't disappear even after "Are you fucking kidding me?" glare from Naruto. You're great, Sasuke-kun, Sakura squealed. Naruto only shocked his head. Something wrong? Uchiha asked, looking at him defiantly. Naruto looked at him, then at Sakura, and back again. Don't you two think that this is weird that he have a mission just after receiving a new team? Maybe it's something only he can do? Sakura asked in an uncertain tone. And this hard mission that only he can do is going to take him only few hours? That means that he's good, Sasuke said, clearly pleased by a prospect of a powerful teacher that will train him to prepare him for his ambition. Naruto sighed and shrugged, standing up. He jumped off of the academy roof without a goodbye or even a word. If they wanted to be idiots, then he wasn't going to disturb them. After all, even if he received this mission, why the hell did they change the place? Damn it! Where the hell are those A and B when they're needed? Thought Naruto, jumping through the roofs. Behind him he sensed 3 other figures. They're on the outskirts of Konoha, running towards forest. Why they were in such a rush? How did it all started? Well, quiet normally, yet a bit strange. Normally, 'cause until noon nothing interesting happened. Normal morning, normal shopping under change, normal training in the training ground 26, on top of the Hokage mountain. When sun stopped its journey in the middle of the clear sky, he returned to his apartment. Quick shower, grabbing his pouches and something to eat, and he was out again. On his way to the training ground 73, when he left the outskirts and reached the forest, he caught up with Sasuke. Uchiha didn't show any sign of noticing him apart from speeding up. Naruto was tempted to accelerate as well, but shrugged it off. Training ground 73 was one of the furthest. It laid over 10 miles to the southwest from the outskirts, and more than 13 from the Hokage Tower. That's why, despite that they had over half an hour in advance, they reached their destination with only 10 minutes left. And that's when the strange part started. 'Cause when they jumped out of the forest into the clearing, they saw Kiba, Shikamaru, Sayuri, and few more from their academy class. Sasuke-kun! Screamed Sakura, jumping on him. Sasuke sidestepped and looked at the rest, totally ignoring the laying on the ground Pinkette and fawning Ino. What are you doing here? Demanded Uchiha. Our sensei told us to come here for a test, Ino responded sweetly. Maybe they want to mix our teams? It would be great if we end up together, right, Sasuke-kun? In your dreams, I know, pig. Sakura screamed, jumping on her feet. Shut up, forehead. Ino wasn't as loud as Sakura, but she wasn't that far behind. Naruto looked around. The area was quiet, normal. Small lake, quite big clearing, a lot of trees. Like almost every training ground in Konoha. Definitely not big enough for 4 teams to do physical, as he suspected, test. Hey Kaisha, he heard Kiba's voice behind him. Is that true that someone broke into your home? Naruto looked behind. Inuzuka Kiba. Loud, brash, easy to anger, first do, then think type, or rather do and don't think. Loudest boy in the class? Abilities focused around taijutsu and working with his Niken, specially trained ninja dog, Akamaru. Wearing gray, hooded jumper with fur on the edges, brown pants and blue shinobi sandals. Kind of feral features, with his sharp, dog-like canines, fawn-like markings on his cheeks and wild brown hair. Kunai holster on right hip, pouch on the left side of his waist. Hit tied around forehead. Yeah, Kaisha muttered, and seeing questioning looks from everyone around, she continued, he stole some of my grandmother's jewelry. Kurusuke Kaisha. Daughter of a rich merchant. Kind, helpful, a little arrogant. Raised without even a clue about a real life's problems. Little, happy, unaware princess. Good chakra control, rest of her skills average. As for looks, blue hair tied into a ponytail held by a pink ribbon. Blue eyes. Pink skirt, pink t-shirt, dark pink long-sleeve jacket, pink shinobi sandals. Bandages on legs, surprisingly normal, white. Kunai holsters on both hips. Head tied around waist. They caught him, didn't they? Kikusuke asked. Sasakiba Kikusuke. Son of the councilman Sasakiba. Arrogant jerk, who was thinking that his father would give him anything. True dead last of their class. His skills were under academy standards, but his father fixed it up with his teachers. Brown, short, slicked to the back hair, narrowed brown eyes, a bit chubby face. Black pants, snow white shirt, brown long-sleeve jacket. Kunai holster in the pocket of his pants. Hitai nowhere in sight. No, Kaisha responded. When they found out, he had already run out of my room. From your words I assume then that you saw him, Shino spoke. Aburaim Shino. Heir of a Aburaim clan. Quiet, logic type. Due to his clan abilities, controlling insects, he wasn't very popular. Though maybe it also had something to do with his wearing style. Baggy jacket with wide, high collar, sunglasses, and Hitai tied around his forehead covered almost his whole face. Only his nose was visible. Add brown pants, blue shinobi sandals and kunai holsters and you have the whole image. Yes, I saw him. And you called that for help? Hinata stuttered. Hyuga Hinata. Heiress of the Hyuga clan, the most powerful in the whole Konoha. Despite this she was kind, very gentle and almost unbelievably shy. Which was weird actually, since normally Hyugas were so arrogant that they could put even Uchiha Sasuke to shame. Her clothes, baggy beige jumper, blue pants and standard shinobi sandals only strengthened her shy and timid appearance. Only thing that was standing out in her sight were her eyes, lavender color and pupilless, trademark of all Hyuga. No, I didn't, Kaisha said, and seeing their awaiting stares she sighed and continued, I woke up in the middle of the night. He was standing next to my bed, holding my mother's bracelet. I begged him to leave it. You saw a thief standing next to your bed, probably armed, interrupted Kiba in a high voice. And you asked him to leave a bracelet? It's from my mother. Oh yeah, little crack in the princess's perfect life. So, Kiba? Sayuri hissed, her mother is gone. She could understand. She would protect every souvenir from her mother if only she would have one. Sayuri was an orphan. Her parents died during Kyuubi attack. She somehow survived in the ruins. She was the only civilian in the academy that was truly working for her success. She was very quiet and closed, keeping mostly to herself, not talking too much to anyone apart from Hinata and one other girl from academy area. She was also one of the few people that Naruto didn't mind. She had brown, a bit spiky, short hair, just to the neck, and matching eyes. Her nose was also a little crooked, as if it was broken, but it wasn't too noticeable. Clad in a knee-length dark blue pants, matching sleeveless vest with a mesh shirt underneath, black warmers on her elbows and standard shinobi sandals. 2 kunai holsters on both hips, pouch on left back and hitai wrapped around right wrist like a protector completed the sight. All of her clothes were a little worn out. There was a fund for the orphans, but it wasn't enough for expensive ninja gear. Oh sorry, Kiba muttered quietly. Don't be, Kaisha responded, you didn't know. So what happened? Asked Ino, who just ended her catfight with Sakura and came closer. He took kunai out of somewhere, and put it to my throat. She raised her right hand to said place. He looked at me for a few seconds, and then I felt pain in the temple. Next thing I remember was waking up in the morning. But why you have? Hinata stuttered, pointing at Kaisha's wrist. Yeah, the princess muttered, looking at her hand. When I woke up, the bracelet was laying next to my bed, as if nothing happened. I thought it was a dream until I heard about the stolen jeweler. He left it? Why? Shikamaru asked, more to himself than to the others. Looks like he also was listening from his place on the side with Chuji. I don't know, Kaisha admitted, looking at the Nara. But when he looked at me his eyes were I don't know, kind of understanding. She looked away, thinking about those cerulean orbs, like as if he knew what. She closed her eyes in a blink, I feel. When she opened her eyes she wasn't looking at her classmates anymore. In front of her was just a tree line. She heard a metal clang behind her and turned on her heels with wide eyes. Few seconds earlier Naruto sensed 3 people approaching the clearing from the north. He turned in their direction, expecting their senseis, hopefully with explanation. But he saw 3 unknown ninja, dressed in white armor-like jackets with only one shoulder strap, black, long-sleeved t-shirt, black pants and matching scarf-like things around waists. They jumped out of the forest and approached them quickly in triangle formation. First was a tall bald man with a sword hilt protruding over his right shoulder. On his left was not-so-beauty woman with short blonde hair, and on right run a small, dark-skinned man with short brown hair and a small scar on left cheek. All of them had Kumo Hittites tied around their foreheads. When Naruto saw exactly where they were heading he quickly used substitution with Kaisha. Seeing that the bald one was drawing his sword the redhead summoned 3 kunais in his left hand and threw them at Ninja's right side. When Baldy moved to dodge Naruto leaped forward, with summoned kunai in his right hand. Kumo Ninja managed to draw his sword, Nodachi, in time and block Redhead's attack. Naruto was quickly overpowered and after another push Uzumaki was thrown away. He flew at least 20 feet before he managed to stop. In the meantime Kumo Kunoichi and her other teammate reached the Genin's group. She sidestepped a fast, but sloppy palm attack from Hinata and hit her in the back of her head, knocking her out. She grabbed the unconscious Hyuga and jumped away, evading a swarm of Shino's insects. Her dark-skinned teammate kicked Kiba, sending him to the ground, then threw a few kunais and shurikens in Shikamaru and Shuji's direction. He turned around and jumped over a low sweeping kick from Sayuri. He attacked with a downside kick, trying to beat her into the ground, but his leg was deflected by Naruto. He jumped away, avoiding the redhead's kunai slash. Fire style, great fireball technique. Sasuke shouted, breathing a ball of fire in their direction. Everybody jumped away. 3 Kumo ninjas leaped back together, with Hinata on the kunoichi's shoulder, still unconscious. And then, not wasting any time, they turned around and jumped between the trees. Hinata! Sayuri shouted, leaping after the kidnappers, quickly followed by Naruto, Sasuke, Kiba and Shino. Kaisha was still looking with wide eyes. Shikamaru and Shuji, after a quick glance, jumped to join the pursuit, with Ino and Sakura after them. And Kikusuke was hiding behind the tree, sweating and shaking from head to toe. Naruto looked behind and saw that everyone followed them in the pursuit. He saw a frown on Shikamaru's face and knew that they're thinking about the same thing. How did they get inside the village unnoticed? He also saw the look on Sakura's face. She was horrified. She certainly wasn't prepared for this, in both skill and mind. Ino was looking slightly better, but still wasn't the best. Naruto slowed down and allowed the girls to catch up with him. Sakura, go back to. What? No way. Sakura shouted, though a bit shaky, why should I listen to you? I want to. Sakura, he interrupted loudly, it's Sasuke's request, sorry, but it's the fastest way, go to the village and alarm them. Alarm? Ino asked, confused. No, tell them to go to sleep. Few unnoticed foreign shinobi is nothing to worry about, Naruto said sarcastically. We absolutely don't need their help, few genins can handle them. Okay, I get it. The Yamanaka heir looked a bit annoyed. Sakura was torn. On one hand, she wanted to help. On the other, she was terrified. But after second thought she realized that by going to the village she would help, while still staying out of it. I'll go. Naruto nodded and accelerated, while Sakura jumped away. He caught up with Kiba, Sayuri, Shikamaru and Sasuke just in time to see the last one performing some hand seals. Fire style. Stop! Naruto interrupted, you will hurt Hinata. Sasuke growled and glared at him, then what am I supposed to do? We had to stop them somehow. Naruto bit his bottom lip, thinking hardly. They aren't going straight, Shikamaru noticed. It looks like they want to go around the outskirts. Would we be able to catch them if we go through the village? Sayuri asked. Probably. But what if they turn somewhere? Kiba reasoned. We don't have much choice, Naruto stated. Kiba, Sasuke, Sayuri, let's go through the village. The rest, follow them further. And why should we listen to you? Ino asked loudly. Ino, Naruto said calmly, sending her a glare. After this I will allow you to scream at me why until my ears start bleeding. Though I would appreciate it if you don't. But if you don't have any better ideas then let's try this one. She glared at him with venom in her eyes, but stayed quiet. Naruto actually expected more complaints. It looked like he had to give his former classmates some credits. Leave your clones, Shikamaru proposed, maybe they won't notice. Alright. Kiba exclaimed, we're going to beat the crap out of them, right Akamaru? Said Dog barked in agreement from his place in Kiba's jacket. Sasuke snarled. Let's catch them first. Naruto cooled him down, pulling a tag from one of his trousers pockets. He caught Shikamaru's interested look but shrugged it off. They created clones for each other. Team 10 with Shino and clones continued their pursuit, while Naruto, Sasuke, Kiba and Sayuri bolted to the right. When he emerged from the forest and jumped through the first roofs, Naruto concentrated and cursed. During his night trips he had to avoid ANBU patrols almost every 10 minutes, and now he couldn't feel anyone above the roofs aside from them. Even more, why didn't they notice foreign ninja in the middle of the village? 4 genins ran quietly through the roofs. They wanted to catch them, not outrun them by miles, so they didn't go through the middle of the village, but rather shot through the outskirts. When they reached the forest again, Kiba spoke. So what now? Traps? Where? Sayuri asked with a hint of anger. You know where they would come through? She's right, Sasuke said. Without their precise position we would have to trap the whole forest. Kiba, Naruto spoke. Are you able to find them? I could try. But even if I sense them it would be already too late. Kiba scratched the back of his head. If they don't bump on us I won't be of much help. Damn it, Naruto thought. Why didn't I take Shino? Let's scatter. We'll cover more terrain that way, Sasuke ordered, turning around. Wait, Naruto stopped him. We won't be able to hold them if we scatter. Or maybe you think that you can take the 3 of them on your own? Sasuke gritted his teeth. He was starting to get pissed by this. How the hell this dead last was always making a good point. Because, as much as he didn't want to admit it, he was sure that he will have problem with even one of the Kumo shinobi. We have to stay together. Our only chance is to surprise them, catch Hinata and run as fast as we can. Run? Kiba asked, surprised. Why should we run? If we hold them for a while, Shino and the rest will catch up, and together we will beat the crap out of them. He ended with a battle look and a fist in his palm. I don't think so, Naruto cooled him. They have to be at least chunins. Nobody would send genins inside the foreign village. And on top of that something is going on in Konoha. We haven't seen any NBU, so they had to be summoned somewhere else. We don't have time to play here. Okay, I get it, Kiba burst. Not that anyone believed him. So what's the plan? Sayuri asked, wanting to end the chit-chat and get to rescuing Hinata. In response, Naruto sighed with resignation and make a cross-shaped hand seal. Wind clone technique. Kumo ninjas were speeding in a formation through the forest, with the dark-skinned in front as a lookout, the kunoichi in the middle, still carrying the unconscious Hyuga, and the bald one as a rear guard. Their rendezvous point was on the northern edge of the village. Thankfully, pursuing them Genins weren't fast enough. As long as they won't bump into someone, they should make it. Suddenly Scar jerked his head to the right. What is it? Kunoichi asked. Nothing, he said uneasily. He thought that he saw something by the corner of his eye, but he wasn't sure what. He wasn't even sure that he saw something. What he didn't see was Naruto, who stormed through the open part of the forest just in front of his eyes, but still invisible. Maybe because he was melting with the surroundings. Or maybe because of his high speed, at least 5 times higher than the Kumo ninjas. It was the nail in their grave. Cause half a minute later all shit broke the loose. First was a huge fireball, shot from the left, that hit the trees in front of them, ablazing them and stopping Kumo ninjas. Then, from each side came what appeared to be huge gray drills. They leaped back to avoid them. Bald and Kunoichi jumped together to the left. The Nodaichi wielder drew his blade just in time to deflect a hail of kunais that was sent their way. Turning in the direction from where they came, he saw Naruto, who jumped at him with another kunai in right-handed reverse grip. This time it was Bald's turn to be sent backward. The power behind Redhead's jump was so great that when he slammed into his opponent, clashing their weapons, he sent him into the tree trunk. Unfortunately, Kumo Ninja managed to backflip and land on the tree. While Baldy was busy deflecting Naruto's hail, Kunoichi turned around to face Sayuri, who also jumped on her from the tree. Blonde drew kunai with her left hand and was preparing to defend when she felt few taps on her right shoulder and back. Her whole right arm and shoulder became numb. Hinata, who revealed to be conscious, used this to break her grip and jump away from her. Sayuri reached her in the same second. Distracted Blonde barely managed to block her slash and evade the following kick. Sayuri tried few more hits, but when she saw that the Kumo Kunoichi managed to regain her balance, she retreated and jumped to Hinata's side. Seconds later next to them appeared Kiba, who had a gash on his right hand, with Akamaru at his side, and Sasuke, who, apart from a brush on his cheek, seemed unharmed. Run! Naruto yelled, jumping in front of them and throwing at least 10 kunais at each enemy. All of the Genins turned around and were about to jump when Baldy landed between them and brought his Nodaichi in wide sweep, forcing them to scatter again. Everybody jumped away, apart from Naruto, who ducked and slashed at Baldy's hip. Only his reflex and speed allowed the Kumo Nin to avoid the injury. He leaped back quickly, slashing at the redhead again while moving back, forcing Naruto to jump back, right next to Sasuke. Stop! The Uzumaki looked to the left. Scar was gripping Hinata's wrist behind her back in his left hand, holding kunai at her throat. Don't move or I'll kill her, the Kumo ninja said while his teammate jumped to his side. You need her too, Naruto responded, checking his classmates' positions. Sasuke was behind him, Kiba was with Akamaru behind their enemy, holding his wounded arm. Sayuri was on right, ready to attack with a kunai in her hand. He also sensed somebody on the trees above them. I need my life more, Scar said. Naruto gritted his teeth, hiding his right hand behind his back and making hand signs for wait, me and distraction. He hoped that they saw it. Even if he had no idea what to do as a distraction. If only Hinata could have used her hands. Sasuke, he muttered so low that only the Uchiha heard him. Sasuke grunted in confirmation that he is listening. Stab me in my left arm. What? His voice was shocked, but thankfully he didn't raise it. Drop your weapons and kneel or she'll die, Scar shouted. I have a plan, trust me, Naruto whispered, rising his left hand to the same position as Hinata's captiver. Sasuke thought about what he knew about the redhead. Quiet dead last with Sharp Tongue who passed by a hairbreadth. And then he thought about what he saw today. Sharp Tongue still there, a bit less quiet, and as for a dead last. Okay, he whispered, but just this once, he added quickly. Naruto only nodded. Sasuke drew a kunai from his hip pouch and thrust forward, stabbing Scar in the left arm, the one that was holding Hinata's. When the grip on her wrist lessened, Hinata quickly thrusted her right hand forward to keep the kunai away from her throat while attacking with her left palm blindly behind. She hit the Kumo ninja in the stomach, causing his internal organs to twitch. Adult Hyuga would be able to destroy them with such blow, but she was only 13. Nevertheless, it was enough to force Scar to retreat, avoiding with sheer inch Sasuke's second stab. In the meantime, when Naruto appeared between Blonde and Bald, he was greeted by a sight of the Nodaichi coming at him in a horizontal slash. He summoned a kunai to his left hand and managed to catch it, but the force behind the blow was too big. His arm bent under it, and Kumo blade sank into his arm hollowly, just under the shoulder. Ignoring the pain, Naruto threw a few kunais with the other hand, forcing Baldy to retreat, and turned around, sensing that Blonde rushed at him, only to suddenly stop in the middle of the step. What the she started, but before she managed to say anything more, she suddenly became limp. Naruto and Bald were looking at her in surprise, until she rose her head and grinned triumphantly. Mind invasion technique complete, she said with a satisfaction. Then the grin disappeared as she swayed lightly. But you better hurry up, I won't hold her for too long, she added, looking at Naruto, while the shadow attached to her from the bush retreated. The redhead turned around to his opponent. Just behind the swordsman he saw a swarm of insects approaching him. Bald must have sensed them somehow, or he saw something on Naruto's face, cause he jumped away. Still, a few of them managed to stick to him. Naruto turned once again, this time to see Scar pushed to defense by combined attacks from Sasuke, Sayuri, and something that looked like a huge boulder. Wounded arm surely wasn't helping him, and then he sensed a few peoples approaching them from southwest. In the same moment Hinata spoke, as somebody ANBU. I see ANBU ANS Sakura-san on SS Southeast. Hearing this, Scar and Bald jumped on the trees. In the same moment Blonde groaned and swayed, but quickly stood straight and was about to join her teammates. But Ino and Shikamaru jumped in front of her, blocking her way. The rest of the Genins quickly rushed to their site, apart from Shino, who stayed hidden up on the trees, though his insects were still flying around. This sight welcomed the 4 ANBU when they came onto the scene, taking positions around the Genins. Few seconds later a little winded Sakura landed amongst them. You alright? She asked worriedly, looking surprised at Sasuke, who, surprised again, ignored her. Ha! They're nothing for us, Kiba exclaimed proudly. Akamaru barked at his side, while the others sweat-dropped. HN, said the one wounded. Sasuke muttered. What was that? Shut up, Naruto hissed. I'm listening. And be on guard. A fresh Genins managed to hold you back. One of the ANBU, with Raven Mask, was actually talking, and you were supposed to be the powerful Kumo Chunins. Yeah, they're an interesting bunch, Bald responded. Guys, chit-chat later. Now could somebody help me with that? Scar asked, still clenching his stab arm. It hurts like hell. You should endure this, said another ANBU sheep. Voice, figure, and the way of moving showed that it was a woman. She walked forward, coming closer to their enemies without a hint of worry or hostility. Are you a shinobi or not? Shut up, Scar muttered, letting her come closer and touch his arm with her hands, enveloped in green light. Damn, that's deep, Sheep whistled. How did they even manage to wound you? You're a jounin for Kami. What the hell? Kiba yelled. ANBU and Kumo Shinobi looked at the forgotten group of Genins. Hinata and Sakura looked scared and confused, Sayuri and Ino too, but the last pair seemed ready to run. Or fight. Shino's insects were hovering around, their master still invisible. Kiba was holding a kunai in his left hand, Akamaru was growling at his side, his fur ruffled. Shikamaru was frowning, hands ready in his clan hand seal. Chuji seemed like he didn't know what to do. Sasuke had 4 shurikens in each hand, ready to spur into action. Oh yeah, sorry, an ANBU with 2 blue strips across his mask stopped in half-word, felling something sharp and cold that cut through his clothes and was touching his skin in a place where started a hole for an arm in his armor, just under the armpit. Now he heard a voice, so cold that it sent shivers down his spine. You'll tell me what is going on here. Chuji, Ino and Sayuri were looking at Naruto with wide eyes. They were turned in the right direction, in the right time, yet they didn't see him. He just appeared out of nowhere behind the ANBU. In one moment he wasn't there, in the next he was already holding a kunai at his side. Naruto's head turned, just in time to see another figure appearing on the scene. Hatake Kakashi jumped out of the woods, landing next to Blonde. Naruto, stand down. Everybody looked at him, few curious, mostly confused, few suspicious. And one was the one of someone who suddenly realized something troublesome. Naruto looked at young Nara. Shikamaru relaxed and looked back. He pointed with his head at Kakashi, then at the 3 foreign shinobi, at their classmates, and then looked at Naruto again. Said Redhead frowned, not sure what Shikamaru had on mind. And then he remembered why it all started. Fuck, he said quiet loudly, stepping back and letting the ANBU go. Said Masked Ninja released his breath and turned around. Damn, he thought, if they will hear who sneaked on me they will kill me with laughter. Oh. Looks like somebody looked through us. Scar mused in an amused tone. Kakashi-sensei. What is going on? Sakura screeched, not noticing how everybody around he grimaced. If you don't tell us we will send Sakura between you, Sayuri threatened with a finger in her ear. Kumo Shinobi shuddered. Wait, we will tell you everything. Scar said quickly, rising his hands in a defending manner with a nervous laugh. You see, this? You should probably drop it first, Kakashi interrupted. Oh yeah, sure, Scar said. He and his teammates rose their hands in half-tiger hand seal and said in unison. Kai! 3 Kumo ninjas disappeared in a poof of smoke. In their place stood now 3 jounins that came onto the academy roof the day before to look after Kakashi. The one with the beard sheathed his Nodachi with a huge grin on his face. Sensei? Ino yelled. Kekurinai-sensei Hinata stuttered. What the hell is going on? Kiba shouted. Toriko-sensei, what Sayuri started. Calm down, the long-haired jounin said, coming closer and placing his left, now healed, hand on her shoulder. Come here guys, we will explain everything, he added, looking at the rest of their class. They gathered around, noticing the proud looks that they received from their teachers aside from Kakashi, who looked as lazy as always. First, we want to congratulate you all. Asuma started with a grin. You passed. Huh, passed? Passed what? Kiba asked. It was all just a test, Shikamaru muttered. This gave him a few surprised looks, and one pissed. Not everybody is a genius, Shika, Ino said with irritation. Can you tell us what the hell do you mean? Genin test, Ino. Naruto muttered, sitting down under the nearby tree, the one they were talking about yesterday. Well, looks like you really understood everything. Toriko mused with a small grin. Maybe you two will also explain to your friends what it was about. Sorry, too troublesome. Naruto didn't even bother to answer. Kakashi sighed seeing his already closed eyes. Oh come on! Don't be so cold! Toriko exclaimed with a childish pout. Few Genins chuckled at his antics. Looks like we have to do it, Kurenai decided. Seeing that none of her fellow Jounin seemed willing to start, she sighed and continued, look, normally, when Jounin receive a team of Genins he put them through some test. For example, Asuma, she pointed at the bearded Jounin, is challenging his students to fight him. I was going to hide and let you find me, and so on. Point of those tests is to find out if you can work as a team. It was just in this year that we decided to change it a little. Why? Saying that Sasuke asked would be too much. It was rather a demanding, our sweet little secret, Toriko said cheerfully with a happy grin. So we passed? Ino asked uncertainly. Yes. All of you work together even if not so willingly, Kakashi said, looking at Ino, Sakura and Sasuke, who just HN'd. Around him the Genins started cheering. Sasuke-kun! We made it! Sakura screamed, launching herself at her crush, only to be pushed aside by Ino. Sasuke-kun, she started with a small blush, so sweetly that it was making the others sick. Maybe we could go celebrate this on a date. Yeah, sure. Sasuke-kun is going with me, Ino pig. Right, Sasuke-kun? Sakura screeched. And why is that, forehead? Blonde's blush and puppy eyes disappeared, replaced by an annoyed frown. Her voice also wasn't so sweet anymore. 'Cause we're on the same team, so? It still won't destroy our love. Everyone sweat-droped. Sayuri shocked her head. She also liked Sasuke. He was just too gorgeous to not like him. But she would never embarrass herself, and him, like that. Condolences, Naruto muttered under his breath. Sasuke, who during his fangirls fight tried hard to stay calm, was about to say something, but he realized that the redhead actually could understand him. Even if most of the academy girls were fawning after him, Naruto also had a few fangirls that were considering his red hair and whisker marks cute. They weren't as drastic as Sakura or Ino, probably cause Naruto bluntly said them that he is not interested in them, but stalking, at least tries, smiles and sweet talks were still present. Jounins and A and B were looking at this with amusement and a bit of nostalgia. Okay guys, you're free for today, Kakashi decided to interrupt. Sakura, Sasuke, Naruto, training ground 7 a.m, tomorrow. Don't be late. Kurenai and Asuma made similar announcements, and then all three waved and walked toward the village, talking about something quietly. Toriko-sensei, what about me? Sayuri asked. Kaisha and Kikusuke didn't make it. Normally you would fail with them, he trailed off. Brunette's head lowered, but he grinned seeing her face shooting up with a hopeful look. You showed great potential, and you're working with others. Toriko made a thoughtful expression and rose a hand to his chin. Then his features lighted theatrically. Few chuckles sounded through the forest. I know. I'll talk with Hokage. Maybe I will take you as an apprentice, or we put you in other team. We'll see, he grinned at her. Meet me at the Hokage Tower tomorrow around 8, okay? Asuma, don't you? He looked around and trailed off. Where are they? They've already left, Chuji said, pointing towards the village with a pack of chips. What? Hey, wait for me. And with that he bolted after his fellow Jounins, followed by another chuckles and laughs. You have a crazy sensei, Sayuri, Kiba said, with Akamaru barking in agreement. Yet Chuji spoke. Hey, how about we all go to the barbecue to celebrate this? Yeah, good idea. Let's go. Kiba exclaimed and was about to follow their senseis, but a hand yanked his hood, stopping him. Not so fast, young man. Kiba turned around to see Sheep standing right behind him. Rest of the ANBU team already disappeared. What about that arm? Oh, it's only a scratch, Inuzuka said proudly, only to hiss in pain from his scratched arm. Yeah, Suyer, Sheep said ironically, come here. But, you can join them later. And the other one too. I don't need your help, Naruto muttered. Sheep sighed and reached toward Uzumaki. The redhead's eyes widened when her hand came closer. He rolled out of her reach and jumped another few feet away. I said I don't need your help, he said coldly. Okay, I'm not going to do anything, Sheep said quickly, raising her hand in a peaceful manner. And Naruto Keikun? Hinata stuttered, and seeing that he's turning around she called after him. And Naruto-kun, why you're Nanatsu coming with us? Naruto looked at her over his shoulder. Hinata's huge blush disappeared when she saw his sky-blue eyes cold. Why should I? His voice was even colder than his eyes. I don't like you, you're not going to like me, so why bother? Naruto! Sakura yelled, she's trying to be polite, you should be nicer, like I care. The redhead muttered. He turned around and walked away, fading, melting with the surrounding bush. What's wrong with him? Ino asked, looking at the place where the Uzumaki disappeared, and wondering what his strange reaction toward Sheep meant. Seeing frown on Shikamaru's face she knew that she wasn't the only one. And Naruto-kun, Hinata whispered. Don't bother with him, Hinata! Sakura exclaimed, let's go. I have a dish. She stopped in mid-word, seeing her crush walking away. Sasuke-kun. You're not coming? No, why? Her voice held so much pain that everyone around were filled with a feeling of compassion, or rather would be if only they wouldn't have been filled with pain from their ears. I'm going to train. Seeing Sakura's mouth opening, everybody quickly used substitution. Good choice, considering that even 30 feet away they all groaned in pain. Sasuke-yuen, Hokage looked up from his desk when somebody knocked to his office's door. He allowed to enter, inwardly thanking whoever it was for a break and fight with his nemesis. He was fighting since dawn, non-stop, without rest, but still he was losing. Brushing aside his restless foe, devil reincarnation, paperwork, he looked at the 4 jounins lining in front of his desk. Genjutsu Mistress Yuhi Kurenai, his son Sarutobi Osuma, copy ninja Hatake Kakashi and current assassination specialist Kasumi Toriko. All 4 were ones of his bests. Hokage-sama, you summoned us? Asked politely Kurenai. Yes, I did. You 4 didn't came for today Jounin's meeting. We're sorry, Hokage-sama, said Toriko, looking like a scared kid. We're in the middle of a test in that time. You see, we did a little more original test today and I was informed about your little change. Interrupted Hokage. Don't worry, he added, seeing Toriko's fearful face, which he was sure was only an act, and Kurenai's worried look. I'm not mad for this or anything. It was a good test, it showed how they would react in danger. I just want to be warned beforehand in the future. Now, what I want to know is why did you change the test and what have you learned about your teams? Normally, he wouldn't occupy himself with the fresh Genin's tests. Jounins were just telling him who passed, and for some time it was all. Not that he considered it insignificant, he just didn't have time for every single shinobi. But this group was more interesting. First, strange tests that they went through. He wanted to know if it was more effective than the normal ones. Second, this class had many clan heirs in it. Only 5 of the 12 Genins weren't heirs or heiresses. Even Naruto was an heir of Uzumaki clan, even if he didn't knew that. Yet, this boy was also his 3rd reason to be interested. While he was thinking about all this, the Jounins in front of him were jumping in joy and relief. Inwardly, of course. On the outside they didn't show any sign of their emotions. They were all worried that Hokage would decide that they pushed their Genins too hard and take the teens from them. And after their test the Jounins were too curious for that. I think I should start since it was my idea, said cheerfully Toriko. You see, Hokage-sama, when I was getting to know each of my Genins yesterday I had a feeling down there, in guts, or how they're calling this. He trailed off a bit, looking out of the window with thoughtful expression until Asuma nudged him. Huh? Oh yeah, never mind. Where was I? Oh right, the feeling. When I was talking with them I was certain that they wouldn't make it. Sasuke Kikusuke was an arrogant jerk that Hokage-sama that thought that thanks to his father's position we would give him everything, just like, as I suspect, his academy teachers. Kurusuke Kaisha, she just wasn't a material for a kunoichi. She was only thinking about glory of shinobi. She wasn't ready even for a normal life, not talking about ninja lifestyle. But the last member, Sayuri, an orphan, she was interesting. Hard-working, determined. I wanted to try her, but normal tests would give me only part of her skills, and with such teammates I wouldn't learn anything about teamwork and all that stuff. So I came up with a plan, and asked my sensei mates. He pointed at the other Jounins in room. To join me. Then we found another reason to do this. You see, after what Kakashi told us about Uzumaki Naruto, we're all curious what he's really capable of. We're sure that in a normal test he would still hold back, so we decided that we need to push him a little harder. And it worked. He ended with a grin, like a child that just accomplished his little project and came for a reward. Hokage chuckled. He liked Toriko. Even after a life as an assassin he still had his kind, childish spirit. At least out of the battlefield. During fight long-haired Jounin was calm, logic, and cold. Somebody who didn't know him might have thought that he had split personality. Well, maybe he has. Thought Hiruzen with another chuckle. Good, now I understand why. And it's good to know that Konoha's Jounins are still in great shape as far as ingenuity is concerned. They all nodded in thanks. Now, what can you tell me about your teams? He asked, looking to his right, at his son. I can definitely say that I'm pleased and surprised. Started Asuma. After I talked with them I thought that I received a lot of work. They had potential, I'm not saying they don't, but they just seemed not ready then and there. I saw undecided fangirl, shy, gentle and harmless Akimichi. He used clan's name to not use taboo word. Better safe than sorry. And a lazy, skill-less sleepyhead who only wanted to watch clouds all day. But during their test they worked together, already showing great teamwork. They surrounded us when we're busy with the others, used Naruto and Shuji's attack as a distraction and caught Kurenai with a combination of Nara and Yamanaka techniques. Said Jounin Kunoichi seemed a bit embarrassed that she allowed few Genins to catch her off guard. Kakashi also said that it was Shikamaru who made most of the plans. Maybe he inherited something from his father. Nara Shikaku, Shikamaru's father, was the most intelligent shinobi in Konoha. He was also Konoha Jounin commander and, as a head of the Nara clan, member of the shinobi council. So I assume that you passed them? Asked Hokage. Yes. I, Sarutobi Asuma, am officially passing Yamanaka Ino, Nara Shikamaru and Akimichi Chuji as the new Team 10. Hiruzen nodded and turned to his another Jounin. Toriko? Huh? Oh yes sure. Long-haired Jounin trailed off for a few seconds before he started. Like I said before, I wasn't expecting too much from Kikusuke. Kaisha froze during the attack. She avoided injuries only because Naruto used substitution to get her out of our way and place himself in it, which was great show of skill and fast thinking, but it isn't my place to talk about this. Back to our princess. When I came looking for her to her house, I learned that she came back with tears in the eyes and locked inside her room. She told me that she doesn't want to be shinobi anymore. As for Kikusuke, during the attack he hid, first behind Hinata, and when he saw that we're coming that way, behind the tree. Like Kaisha, when he get hold of himself, he run to his home. Then he started screaming about a battalion of IWA shinobi. Yes, IWA, how he fought them and then managed to outrun them, and when I came he started accusing me for allowing them to enter the village and risk his life, yelling that his father will punish me, and, when I said that it was a test and that he failed, asking me how much his father have to pay me. Normally Toriko was very friendly towards everybody, but this time Hokage clearly heard disgust in his voice. Now, in Sayuri's case she was good. As I expected, she made it. She quickly reacted to our attack, first took off after us, then she carried her part of the plan without any troubles. She even, together with Sasuke and Shuji, managed to push me to defense, showing not bad teamwork. So what do you want to do with her? Interrupted Hokage. He knew that if he would allow for it, Toriko would continue convincing him until midnight, or even longer if he would have to. Put in some other team? Actually, I want to take her as an apprentice, said Jounin, kind of shyly, like a kid expecting yelling and scorning. But Hokage wasn't yelling. He was too surprised for this. He couldn't remember how many times he heard Toriko assuring him that he doesn't want an apprentice, that his specialty is not good for teaching young genins. Assassin as a sensei? After his praises, Hokage thought that he just didn't want to waste Sayuri's talent only because of bad luck during team forming. But why? Because I have a feeling that she became a great kunoichi. She already has great skills, and she's determined. She isn't going to withdraw. An assassin's look once again trailed outside of the office. I think I knew her mother. And if I'm right, then I have a debt to pay. That's why I'm asking for a permission to take Sayuri as an apprentice. Hokage nodded. He would have to check him sometimes, that would be his first student after all, and personal apprentice at that, but he was rather calm. Permission granted. Sayuri would become your apprentice. Now he looked at his next jounin, who was now sporting an orange book. Kakashi? Oh sure, he put his book in pouch, hiding it from Kurenai's murderous glare. Poor little thing almost burned under it. Well, my opinion may not be too accurate, since I was a little late. Hokage chuckled seeing Kurenai's glare now located on him, while Asuma and Toriko were looking at him with amusement. I caught up with them just after the first attack. Kakashi scratched the back of his head. Maybe he's trying to look embarrassed. Or maybe he felt Kurenai's look. Hokage wasn't sure. Anyway, Sakura. From the first impression, a fangirl, more concerned about her look than training. According to Asuma's words, she froze during the first attack. But then she made the right decision and went for help. NBU told me that she came terrified, but her report was precise, and she refused to stay behind. She didn't fought, so I can't tell anything about her skills. Now Sasuke, well, he really deserved his Rookie of the Year title. He already knows C-rank elemental technique, his skills are great. His teamwork, well, it's not totally hopeless, he worked with Sayuri and Shuji. He's a little too fast to jump into an action, but once he rethink problem he also showed that he's smart. All in all, he's a really good shinobi with great potential. Though he isn't too careful, he could harm Hinata with his fireball. And Naruto. Kakashi smirked under his mask seeing how Hokage leaned forward, not able to contain his curiosity. I was right when I said that he's holding back. He's fighting on the same level as Sasuke, make few plans. I also think that he's some kind of a censor. During the pursuit they split, and when the other group reached the fight he made few hand signs toward them while they're still hidden. Though on the other hand he didn't sense me underground. Maybe he just saw something above. Hokage frowned. Normally, sensors were sensing chakra around them, but if he didn't sense Kakashi using technique to travel under the surface, then that wasn't this. Anything else? Hi. Did you ever heard about wind clones? I was trying to make it, said Asuma before his father could answer. It's a failure. They're unstable. I only managed to make them last few seconds before they dispelled. Well, his survived a bit longer. You sure? Asked Hokage, while Asuma was looking in disbelief. Yes. He made half a dozen of terribly fast clones, and sent them to find out where are the kidnappers. When I looked at them with a Sharingan, Kakashi pointed at his covered eye. They looked like made without chakra surroundings. The air was flowing through them, in and out. If I'm right, he's the first one who managed to create them. Academy's student managed to create his own technique? It looked like that. Impossible, muttered Kurenai. Somebody is teaching him? Asked Toriko. I don't know, but let's leave it for another day. Interrupted Hokage. Now, Kakashi, you're passing them, right? Of course, Hokage-sama. I have a little doubt about Sakura, but she was concerned about her teammates. At least one of them, muttered Toriko. So I think I can give her a chance. Good, now that leave us only Kurenai. Hokage looked at the only woman in the room. "Hi, Hokage-sama," said Kurenai, forcing herself to not stand at attention. As a jounin and one of the best genjutsu users, she didn't have to do this, apart from the official occasions, but she still wasn't used to this familiarity with the most important person in the village. She was a jounin only for a few months. During the test, my team didn't have many occasions to use their specialty, tracking. Only Shino used his bugs to track us during the pursuit. As for their performance, I'm quite pleased. Kiba, as I thought, is hot-headed, but once somebody told him what to do, he did his job great. Shino, wisely, used his insects while he stayed hidden in the bush to gain some time for others. Hinata actually surprised me. First, when she didn't froze during our attack. She fought back, even if a little sloppy. Then when she waited for the others and used their attack as a distraction to free herself and weaken me. I'm pleased with their performance, and that's why I, Yuhi Kurenai, am officially passing in Izuka Kiba, Aburaim Shino and Hyuga Hinata as a new teammate. Hokage nodded in acknowledgement. Looks like we have more than few promising students this year, he thought. Kakashi. When one-eyed Jounin looked at him, Hokage continued. I want you to find out on what level Naruto really is. Toriko, I want you to come here in 2 weeks with a report about your apprentice progress. Understood? Hi, Hokage-sama. They said in unison. Good. You're dismissed. They walked out, closing the doors quietly. When they're already out of the office, Asuma turned to Toriko. So who was Sayuri's mother? I have no idea. What? But you said. I did. Toriko turned with a huge grin. 'Cause it's touched old man's soft spot. Where the hell are those two? Even Sasuke's poker face, world level 1, faded into a flinch when certain pink-haired banshee screamed. They're waiting at the training ground 7. 2 hours. Again. But for some reason Sasuke wasn't surprised. After he came, he sat under the tree and prepared himself for a long waiting. As for Sakura, at first she's at bliss. She's alone with her Sasuke-kun. At last. She grinned. My chance. She quickly get her hair right, adjusted her dress and entered the clearing. Looking around to make sure that they're indeed alone, she came closer, trying to look as adorable as she could, and started bugging Sasuke about date. But even she managed to understand that she wouldn't gain anything after an hour of ignoring. Waiting after this for another hour, in all her embarrassment and humiliation, was wearing her small reserves of patience very thin. Sakura, said very calmly Sasuke, first time this morning actually. Yes, Sasuke-kun? Asked Pinkette, slipping in her too sweet self. Before he could answer, Naruto appeared in front of them. Appeared was a good word, because the only thing they saw was, as Sasuke now realized, something on the corner of his eye he didn't even check. Ah! Screamed Sakura, jumping back and almost falling. Naruto! What the hell are you doing? Don't scare me like that, huh? He looked at her, seeming genuinely confused. What? You appeared out of nowhere. And where have you been? Naruto looked at Sasuke. That's why I wasn't here. He muttered and then turned to his female teammate, pointing behind with his thumb. I was on the other side of the clearing. Liar! Please be quiet, you don't have to attack me. Attack? What attack? Asked dumbfounded Sakura. You know, that screaming, you use that voice as an attack, don't you? Baka! Sakura continued her assault. Naruto turned her off, and Sasuke was still sitting under his tree with expressionless face. Though inwardly he was chuckling slightly. During Academy he was seeing Naruto only as tolerable, which in Sasuke's case was actually quite high. Redhead was normally awfully quiet, but once he started mocking someone, it's always a show worth seeing. Sasuke might have even liked him if only he wouldn't have been so weak. This was the sight that greeted Kakashi when he came about a minute later. You're late. Sakura changed the target of her attack. Ma, I just saw a black cat that crossed my path, so I had to take longer way around the village to avoid bad luck. Liar! Few more strikes and one-eyed Jounin's defense will crumble. Boy's only sweat dropped at his poor lie. Inwardly, okay, listen up. We have a few things to discuss, said Kakashi, ignoring fuming Sakura and making a mental note to bring earplugs tomorrow. First, about our daily schedule. From now on, you are going to come here every day at 7 a.m., apart from Sunday, which would be free if I don't say otherwise. We'd do a little warm-up and then go on a mission or do some training. After mission, if we'd still have some time, we can also train a bit. I know it's quite broad plan, but with time we'd add another thing. Any questions? He waited few seconds, and seeing no objections he continued. Now, before we start, I want to talk about your yesterday's test. Small flinch appeared on Naruto's face, but it disappeared almost in the same time. He was beating himself for not seeing through that damn test. He wanted to hide his skills, stay in the shadows. Sasuke's presence could have helped him in it. He just needed to make sure that Uchiha would stay in the center of everyone's attention. But he allowed himself to fall into the first trick. Now those who hate him will again start to try to hold him back. And Kakashi could be one of them. He was one of those who were talking about him as a weapon and a demon. Sit down, it might take a while. He waited, while Sakura sat on spot and Naruto stood next to the tree against which leaned Sasuke. Good, Sakura, you first. said Pinkette was staring at him with anticipation, already forgetting about her anger. I don't have many things against you. Sakura's face beamed in happiness and a bit of pride. You just wasn't ready. And it all disappeared. You froze during your first encounter, not even trying to do anything. Don't worry, it's quite normal in the first fight. You just have to work on it, so it won't happen again. On the other hand, the idea to go for reinforcements was great. Yours? Actually, it was Sasuke-kun's. Kakashi looked at Uchiha with a rose eyebrow. Raven-haired boy nodded, though Kakashi noticed that he seemed a bit confused. Okay, said Kakashi. Well, Sakura, I can't say anything about your skills cause you weren't fighting, so I think that would be all. Now, Sasuke. Uchiha's face was as dark as his hair, but there was also an anticipation in his black eyes and his tensed muscles. You're good. Sasuke relaxed a bit and Sakura started cheering. Your reaction to attack was fast. Also during the chase and further fight you showed that you really deserve your Rookie of the Year title. Just 3 things. First, restrain this pyromaniac inside you. Sasuke frowned, looking with a question in his eyes. A bit bigger fireball and you could have burned the whole forest. Secondly, you were jumping into an action without thinking. It's your first fight, so it's understandable. Just like Sakura, remember about this in the future. And last thing, watch out where you're firing your little sparkies. Sasuke sent him a murderous glare for mocking his best technique. You've almost hit Hinata on the clearing. Sasuke looked down, deep in thoughts. This summary was pretty much what he's expecting. Nothing new about him being good. He was an Uchiha, they're always good. Comment about pyromaniac surprised him, but he knew what it's about. As for watching out for others, on one hand, he didn't care. They're mostly just slowing him down. But on the other, when he recalled that Naruto also stopped him later. Naruto's turn. Kakashi looked at his last student, noticing that even though he knew where Uzumaki stood, he still had to focus to find his figure. Now can you tell me please, why were you holding back during academy? Holding back? I wasn't. Naruto tried to play dumb, while Sasuke was looking interested and Sakura confused. Oh really? Holding back? Interrupted Sakura. How can he hold back? He's an idiot, a dead last. Her words hurt. He was thankful for her stupidity, it helped him but it still hurt. Oh? Disbelief was clearly visible in Kakashi's face, at least in what they saw of it. So he's an idiot dead last without any talent that was the first to react to the attack. Who made most of the plans in the heat of the battle? And who managed to create his own technique while being still in the academy? That's what you meant, Sakura, said Pinkette was about to shout that her Sasuke-kun is much better, that he was the one that make all the plans, that during fight Naruto only slowed him down, that it was Sasuke who reacted first until she remembered that it was Naruto who saw their enemies first. He also tried to stop them before the others even noticed the danger. So if that part was true, no, it was Sasuke-kun who ordered her to go back for help, but it's Naruto's words. Arg. Kakashi looked at his redhead student again. From your academy folder, you're dead last of your group, with poor taijutsu, even worse ninjutsu, quite good stealth and no tactical sense. This is an opinion of Yumino Iruka. Naruto knew what that meant. This was an opinion of the only teacher that was fair with him. It's exactly what Iruka thought about him, without any hate influence. So, can you tell me how seemingly the worst one ended as the best of the whole group? Good reaction during the first attack, lack of freezing, good, fast thinking. Actually, I found only 2 mistakes. Naruto looked up curious, in the same time thinking that not seeing through their deception was probably one of them. First, you should take Shino with you when you split up to flank the kidnappers. He'd easily track them down and help in preparing the trap. Naruto nodded. He also thought about this when he was thinking how to track down Kumo ninjas. If only Shino would have been with them, he wouldn't had to reveal his wind clones. Your second mistake was that stupid usage of substitution. This was something he didn't expected. Huh? Why? It worked perfectly. Hinata was freed, and if those ninja would have really been Chunins, they wouldn't have chance to react. You're right about Hinata, but about your enemies, they were too close. They sensed you. What do you mean by too close? Baka, when you use substitution or body flicker, you are easy to sense for anyone near the place where you appear, said Sakura in a you should know that tone. But Naruto looked genuinely surprised. You didn't know that? Asked Kakashi. Naruto shocked his head. Idiot, muttered Sasuke. You should have listened. It was on the lessons, and in almost every book about it, added Sakura. Naruto looked away and mumbled something. What was that? Asked Kakashi. I was thrown out of the class, muttered Redhead only a bit louder. Why? Asked Sakura. Naruto didn't answer. Then what about the books? Librarian didn't allow me to come to the library. Why? This time it was Sasuke. Not your business! Naruto snapped loudly, pushing himself from the tree, turning around and dashing away, leaving his team a little stunned. Especially Sasuke and Sakura, who never before heard him saying something so loudly. What was that about? Sakura looked at Kakashi, hoping that he would answer, but Jounin's expression was unreadable. Well, it looks like we won't go on any mission today. Kakashi sighed and looked at his remaining students. Take this day as free, Tomorrow we start. So 7 a.m. here, right? They nodded. What about Naruto? Asked Sakura. Don't worry, I'll talk with him. Kakashi saw an annoyed look on Sasuke's face. He wasn't sure what it was about, but shrugged this off for now. With a wave he disappeared using body flicker, hoping that Naruto didn't walk far away. Kakashi found young Uzumaki by accident. He was looking after him for about 4 hours. Without effects. Resigned, he went on top of the Hokage mountain to think. That was when he spotted small figure sitting atop Yandame's stone head. Kakashi only sighed and come closer. Naruto was sitting with one leg straight, other one bend in the knee and one hand on said knee. He was leaning against one of Monument's stone spikes. He didn't turn to look at his sensei, but Kakashi was sure that he knew about his approaching. One-eyed Jounin leaned, still standing, against the same spike and looked in the same direction as Redhead, at the whole village. It was the middle of the day, so streets were very crowded. From here those figures were smaller than head of a pin. What are you doing here, Naruto? For a few moments Uzumaki was quiet, before he mumbled. Thinking. About? This time silence lasted longer, and when Kakashi thought that he isn't going to answer, Naruto spoke. About how I didn't notice this substitution's defect. This probably wasn't truth, but he was talking, so Kakashi decided to go on. And? Jounin already had an idea for this, but he wanted to know if Naruto also thought about this. I'm a censor. Kakashi nodded. He's suspecting this, and his theory was based on this suspicion. I sense people presence all the time, so when I sensed somebody using substitution I assumed that it was my ability to sense chakra. Kakashi nodded again. Yes, I thought about it too. But you're wrong in one thing. You're not sensing chakra. This earned him a surprised look when Naruto finally turned to him. You didn't sense me when I was following you during the test. I was using an earth technique to travel underground. Naruto frowned. Now that Kakashi pointed that, he never sensed any techniques or anything like that. He thought that he'd just have to train more. On the other hand, he sensed surroundings, like trees, walls, and landscape. So, if what Kakashi said was true then what it is, I have no idea. Kakashi shrugged. It can be some kind of bloodline, or maybe just high intuition. He looked at his student, and decided to try once again. So, mind to tell me about your other abilities? Naruto snapped out of his thoughts. Until now he's in some kind of daze, but now he returned to his normal, suspicious self. Why should I? Because I'm your sensei, stated Kakashi. I could tell that you should trust me only because of this, or because I'm Konoha Shinobi, but for some reason I don't think you would listen. So let me ask you, how can I give you some task if I don't know if you can handle it? He was risking. He didn't know what kind of person Naruto was, but he definitely wasn't trustful. So he tried to appeal to his duty sense. To some point it worked. Naruto saw logic in Kakashi's words. But it was Kakashi who was talking about him as a demon. Naruto didn't trusted him. Even if one-eyed Jounin saved him back then, memories of an evening 5 years ago flooded into his mind. Memories full of fear and pain, punishment for the best score in the class. 2E&B waiting in the dark alley. Viper and Owl. Run. Chase. Familiar alley in the slums. Bumping into someone. Mouse mask over a hand that reached to him. Pain, when he pinned him to the wall. Kill him already. It's too weak punishment. Let's make him suffer. Torture him. Somebody could find us, have some poison, evil, cruel chuckle, and gag him. He's going to scream. Pain from a wound on an arm. 2 new figures. Dog and boar. Hell is going. Leave Captain, he killed your sensei, you want this too. Really think so? Metal hitting metal. Mouse trying to stab him. Katana that deflected his kunai. Grip on his throat disappearing when Mouse jumped back. Another figure. Long purple hair. Running again. Clangs of metal. Pain widening from his arm. Shouts. Get back here, demon! Wait, Naruto! Rado? Naruto! Kakashi's voice brought him back out of his memories. He's again at the top of Hokage Mountain, on Yandame's head. You okay? You looked like you drifted away for a second. I'm okay. Naruto looked over the village before asking the question that he wanted to ask for 5 years. Who was your sensei? This surprised the one-eyed Jounin. On one side, he was pleased. This question meant that Naruto started to open up, even if only a little bit. But on the other hand, why do you ask? Naruto didn't answer. They're sitting in a silence for a few moments before Jounin spoke. You're sitting on his head. Kakashi was used to a lot of different reactions after this information. Disbelief. Jealousy. Admiration. But what he saw now was something new. Apart from normal surprise, he saw grief and dying hope. Then he heard Naruto whisper. So you must really hate me, huh? Kakashi frowned. What the hell was he talking about? And then, realization hit him. It was so simple that he started beating himself for not figuring it sooner. It was explaining almost everything, you know. That was why he was so mistrustful. So wary. So cold and separated. When how? You're talking about a giant 9-tailed demon fox in my guts? Naruto turned his head, looking at the village, hiding his pained look. Remember the NBU prank? Kakashi nodded. How could he forget? He's one of those who had to report it to the Hokage. He was an ANBU captain in that time, but it didn't mean that he hadn't had guard duties. And on that night it was his shift. 5 years ago, under his and 3 more ANBU noses, somebody painted all ANBU armors in neon green. There are only few untouched, the ones that were in use at that moment. He still could remember Hokage's face when they appeared in his office in the morning. Shock quickly was replaced by a barely held amusement. After pulling himself together, and making sure that it was the only damage, he gave them a punishment. They're forced to use those armors for the whole 2 months until new ones arrived. Untouched ones were left for important missions. Kakashi also remembered laughter that he heard when they left Hokage's office. Hysterical laughter. Needless to say, ANBU stealth skills were greatly improved during those 2 months. They're forcing themselves tenfold to stay out of sight. But even so, there were few seen. And a lot laughed at. You did that, didn't you? It's formed as a question, but its tone was like in a statement. Nevertheless, Naruto answered. Yeah, that's supposed to be a payback for an ANBU attack on me few days earlier. But when I was done and was retreating, I heard few ANBU talking about this attack. He took a deep breath during their talk. Somebody said something around. As a QB jailer, he's a great asset to Konoha. He's a weapon. I put the rest together and figured what happened and why everybody hates me. They don't hate you, interrupted Kakashi. Naruto scoffed. Yeah, sure, and those attacks and hate-filled glares are because they don't want to spoil me with all this love around me. That's not hate that they feel towards you. I can recognize hate once I see it. Naruto's voice was hinted with anger. His muscles visibly tensed as he clenched his gloved fists. This hate is not directed towards you, it's directed towards the QB. Kakashi looked at the village. People they were talking about were busy with their own business, unaware that this talk could result in defection of one of Konoha's greatest assets, or even releasing the Biju. During its attack 12 years ago, QB killed a lot of people. They've left families, comrades, friends. All of them are filled with grief. They need someone to blame. And they have this someone here in the village. You just have bad luck, cause they can't reach the QB, which means that you happen to be on receiving end of all their hatred. But this hate is not directed towards you. Kakashi looked at his student. His body was still tensed under the black fabric of his sweatshirt and pants. What they feel towards you is fear. Civilian don't know what you are, they don't understand it. Shinobi, who do understand, are afraid that you'll lose control and release the demon. Kakashi stopped for a second, but decided to continue. Naruto didn't seem to him as someone who would appreciate hiding the bitter truth behind the pretty lies. Naruto, Jinchuriki never had an easy life. People are treating them like a ticking bomb. Even if you one day manage to get control of QB, they'll still treat you like something different from them. They'll still be afraid, this time, of the power that you'll possess. Some of them would try to take control of you because of that power. Happy perspectives, muttered Naruto, interrupting him. Yeah, but you don't have to cope with this alone. You just have to find those few people that would not care. That would see you as Naruto, not only as a Jinchuriki of the QB. Naruto let out something between quiet chuckle and resigned sigh. Easier said than done, you already have one. Kakashi sent him his eye smile. You're my comrade now. You see, my teammate told me once, in the ninja world those who break the rules are trash, but those who abandon their comrades are worse than trash. During his whole speech, Naruto didn't relax. He didn't even twitched. Kakashi had no idea what was going on under that red hairs. He said everything in hope that Naruto would understand why he's treated like that and forgive them. He's also hoping that it wouldn't work exactly the other way. He didn't want it to hunt Redhead down for defection. Shunins, that's why they stopped. Kakashi heard faint murmurs. He looked at Naruto. Uzumaki changed his position, with both knees under his chin and arms around them, mumbling something into his elbow. What was that? Asked Kakashi. Naruto just shook his head, still deep in thoughts. Kakashi waited patiently, wondering in the meantime if he should say something else. But shrugged this off, deciding that he said what he could and that the decision is now up to Naruto. Few minutes passed before Naruto finally moved. He stood up, turned around and walked away, not even looking at Kakashi. Naruto? Thanks, sensei. Interrupted Naruto with a slight hesitation before the second word, without turning around. Kakashi nodded, receiving an answer to his unspoken question. And then he reminded himself why he started this talk anyway. See you tomorrow, Kaka. Wait, Naruto. What about your abilities? Naruto stopped, and Jounin continued. Don't you think you should tell your sensei what you can do? Naruto looked at him over his shoulder. His look was weary, calculating, but it wasn't as mistrustful as before. At least not that much. They're looking in each other's eyes for a few seconds before Redhead turned around. Kakashi could bet all his money that he saw his lips twitch in a small smile. And where would be fun in that, dog? And with that words, young Uzumaki walked away, leaving one-eyed Jounin a bit stunned. When she heard rustlings below, Sakura looked down from her spot on the tree. It was very quiet, and normally Sakura would have shrugged this off, but currently she was on watch. And after yesterday's fight her nerves were in shreds. Under one of the trees, between which they were camping, Sakura saw something that resembled a long rock. Thanks to the weeks that passed since their team formed, she knew that it was Naruto. Above him, in a weak light of a moon and stars, she saw the gray-haired figure of a small girl. "Ru? What's going on?" Sakura heard Naruto's quiet whisper. "You can't sleep?" The girl nodded reluctantly. Naruto sighed and moved on his futon, making a space by his side. Following his wave, Ru got into his futon and snuggled against the redhead's chest. Naruto put his left arm around the little girl and covered them with the other. A few more rustlings, and silence again took over the night. Sakura looked at them for a few seconds before raising her eyes back up, scanning their surroundings. Her body was on guard, but her mind was wandering around what she saw a moment ago. And also about Naruto's previous words. They were in the west of Fire Country, more or less a day away from the Fire, Rain border. Their team had received their first C-rank mission, and they were returning to the village after finishing it. Sakura once again looked at her red-headed teammate. The moon's light was reflecting in his eyes as he looked at the sleeping girl next to him. His gaze was soft, so different from his usual cold and unemotional one. But Ru somehow seemed to draw this out of him. How? Sakura had no idea. And who was Ru? Well, the week before. Target in sight. Surround him and wait for my mark, responded a lazy voice. 1, in position, said a male voice with a hint of anger. 2, in position, said a female with resignation. 3, are you there? Naruto, come in. Baka. If you're sleeping again. Target captured, reported a bored male voice. Kakashi, Sasuke and Sakura looked at their target. They saw Tora, the fire daimyo's wife's cat, hovering in the air, held by some unknown power. It took them a few seconds before they noticed the red-haired figure standing next to it, holding the cat by its neck. Tora seemed so surprised by Naruto's sudden appearance that she wasn't even trying to scratch him. Naruto, sighed Kakashi, jumping down from the trees. I said to wait for my mark. Sasuke and Sakura also jumped to their side. What for? Because this mission is about improving your teamwork, responded Jounin, pointing at Sasuke and Sakura while saying We have done this mission 10 times, said Naruto. I think we already showed that we can work as a team. 9 times, corrected Kakashi. Last week when we were painting the fence doesn't count. It wasn't our mission, but we caught this demon. Said demon seemed to wake from his surprise and tried to scratch Naruto's face, but a stretched arm solved this problem. We're paid for it, and it went in our records, so I think that it counts. But Dobe is right, interrupted Sasuke, somewhat reluctantly. We should have been doing something more important than chores like painting, delivering and catching this damn cat. Really? Asked Naruto. I've never said that we should do something more important. Why are you dragging me into this? Because you think so too, said Uchiha, glaring at him angrily. And how do you know what I'm thinking? Sakura and Kakashi's sweat dropped. It wasn't the first time that those two had fought. Kakashi couldn't understand why two seemingly so similar boys couldn't find common language. Okay, calm down boys, Kakashi interrupted their little word duel. Let's go report to the Hokage and then we will talk about this, okay? That was fast, admitted the Hokage, looking at Team 7. 13 minutes less and you would have beaten the record. Kakashi's sweat dropped. The record, 43 minutes and 16 seconds, was set by Guy, one of his more unusual friend, and his team. He was glad that they didn't beat it. Konoha's green beast would never let him live with that. It's still early, so if you want I can give you another mission. The Hokage looked down, sorting papers on his desk. There's a house in the market district that has a broken roof, and Nozori-san wants to deliver. No, Kakashi sighed. He was thankful that he didn't receive Inuzuka, or any other loudmouth, overconfident, energetic brat, but he still was expecting that this would happen one day. Sasuke lost his patience. No, repeated the Uchiha. I've had enough of these chores. We're shinobi, not some builders or delivery boys. We want a real mission, he said, looking at his teammates. Naruto nodded almost unnoticeably, but his eyes were clearly showing that he was agreeing. Sakura wasn't so sure. She actually didn't mind D-ranks. They were easy, and she had a lot of time to be with her Sasuke-kun. As for the Hokage, he was surprised. No, not because of Sasuke's outburst. Just like Kakashi, he was expecting this, he just wasn't sure which one it would be, Sasuke or Naruto. It happened in every team, sooner or later. What surprised him was the one-eyed Jounin's reaction. Or rather lack of it. Normally, a sensei would scold his students and take another D rank, and then, after a month or two, they would return and ask for a C rank, this time with their sensei. But Kakashi didn't do a thing. Kakashi? Asked the Hokage. When the Jounin looked at him, Hiruzen raised his eyebrows. They're ready, responded simply Kakashi. Their teamwork is good, especially Sasuke and Naruto's, at least when they stop fighting and fooling around, he added, remembering one of their teamwork exercises, during which a blindfolded Sasuke bumped into a few trees and Naruto landed in the lake. There's still room for improvement, but I think that they're ready for a simple C rank. If you say so, said Hiruzen, and seeing the Genin's surprised looks, added, it's your sensei's job to ensure that you're ready, so if Kakashi is saying that you're ready then I'm willing to trust him. Now, simple C rank. The Hokage dived into his papers once again, mumbling land of lakes no, not out of the fire country track, but they're not tracking That should be good. He gave Kakashi a sheet of paper. Bandit attacks 4 villages, no shinobi training? Asked the Jounin, looking at his leader. According to reports, they're normal thugs, without chakra knowledge, assured Hokage. The strongest ones are few beginner ronin. Okay, we'll take it, said Kakashi and turned to his students. Meet me tomorrow at 7 a.m. We will be out for about 2 or 3 weeks. But better safe than sorry, so pack for a whole month. You know what to do. Hi, responded the Genins in unison. Good. That would be all. Sensei? Interrupted Sakura. Could you at least tell us what is our mission? Kakashi shrugged, deciding that he could tell them now as well. Over a week's travel out west from Konoha, 4 villages reported repeated attacks by a group of bandits. Our mission is to find their camp and take care of them. Any questions? Sakura was tempted to ask what does he meant by take care of them, but decided to leave it for now. Good, said Kakashi when nobody spoke. Now you're dismissed. While the Genins were leaving, Kakashi turned around, wondering how he was going to convince the Hokage that he knew what he was doing. Next day, Sakura came to the village gates about an hour late, fully prepared to wait for her sensei for another hour. After over a month in a team with Kakashi, she didn't believe that there was anything that could force him to come on time. Pinkette looked around in search for her teammates. Sasuke wasn't in sight, probably deciding to come even later. She wasn't sure about Naruto. She was used to his appearing a few minutes before Kakashi. Sakura wasn't sure if he was around, hidden, or if he was just almost as late as their teacher. Sakura sat against the wall next to the gate, placing her huge backpack next to her. In the academy, they were forced to memorize a long list of things that they should take on missions out of the village, and recite it even in their sleep. She was sure that most of those things weren't necessary, and that older, more experienced shinobi knew which ones to leave, but nobody told her, so she had to take everything. Looking around again, she drifted into her own thoughts, checking her own feelings. She found a bit of fear. This was her first time out of the village after all, and she was going to have to fight. But most of all, she found excitement. Fight or no fight, this was her first C-rank mission. And above all, she was going to spend almost a whole month with her Sasuke-kun. Her look became a little unfocused and a slight blush appeared on her face when her imagination showed her a vision of her Sasuke-kun, helping her up after saving her life, saying that he couldn't let anything happen to her, and that he, Sasuke, who just came to the gate, sighed seeing Sakura's face. He was pretty sure that he could guess what she was thinking about right then, unfortunately. If only she would put at least half the effort that she's putting into nagging me into a mission or training, he thought with resignation, adjusting his backpack straps and looking around for his other, not useless, teammate. His opinion about Naruto improved greatly after their Genin test. Despite their fights, he actually started to like the red-headed Uzumaki, his calculating mind and sense of humor. He was sure that this feeling was mutual. Ignoring Sakura, who seemed to just come out of her dreamland and started bugging him, Sasuke looked around, trying to pinpoint Naruto's position. It was their little game. It wasn't hard to notice that the redhead's best skill was stealth, so he was trying to detect him as many times as he could. At the beginning he was failing miserably, but after a few weeks he noticed improvement. He could see Naruto when he wasn't intentionally hiding, and he didn't have to search after Uzumaki while talking with him. While Sakura continued her blabbering about how romantic this trip was going to be, Sasuke looked toward the gate. He thought that he saw something there, next to the shed for Chunins on guard duty, but he wasn't sure. Enough of this, lovebirds, Kakashi's coming. Sasuke sighed and turned around to the voice that came from behind. Looks like he was wrong about the Uzumaki's position. Again. Sakura also turned to their red-headed teammate, blushing madly at the lovebirds part. How do you know? She asked, fighting with her blush. Naruto was about to answer, but in that moment Kakashi jumped down from the roofs. Hi guys, he greeted them with raised hand and his eye smile. Everyone here? Good. You're not late for your first C-rank. It's you who is late, shouted Sakura. Ma, you don't need to yell. I just spotted this old lady who needed help with. Liar! Interrupted Pinkette. Kakashi's sweat dropped and decided to ignore her. As always. Anyway, we're going out of the village, so be cautious. It's not like everything there is going to kill you, but better safe than sorry. The Genins nodded, Sakura still fuming, while Naruto was thinking that he would probably be safer outside. Good. You've got everything? Sasuke and Sakura adjusted their backpacks to show that they were ready. This was the moment when they looked at their teammate, noticing that he didn't have his own backpack. The only difference in his attire was a gray camo coat with wide sleeves and a hood. Yeah, responded Naruto to Kakashi's question. Baka! Screamed Sakura at the top of her lungs, forcing her teammates to jump away from her sudden attack. Where is your backpack? Awa muttered Naruto with a finger in his ear. Could you please not scream so loud when I'm around? She still has a point, said Sasuke. You forgot your gear. No, I didn't, responded Naruto, pulling a book from his pouch. I have everything here. Seals? Asked Kakashi, seemingly totally lazy and uninterested. Naruto nodded in response. The Jounin only sighed and walked out of the village, waving at them to follow. Okay, if you're ready, let's go. With this, Kakashi jumped to the trees, his 3 students right behind. The silver-haired Jounin chuckled inwardly. They're going to hate you, Naruto. They hated him. Sasuke and Sakura were stabbing Naruto in the back with their eyes. The sun was dawning and Kakashi had decided that they would stay for a night. They were now setting up a camp deep in the forest, near a small stream. Both Uchiha and Haruno were tired, their legs were sore and their backs hurt. On the other hand, Naruto seemed as fresh as in the morning. If only looks could kill, mused Kakashi quietly. He personally suspected that Naruto's energy had more to do with the giant ball of red fur in his guts than his sealed equipment, but his other students didn't know about this little detail. You said something, Kakashi? Asked Naruto, laying his unsealed futon under the tree. Kakashi sighed. You really should refer to me as sensei, you know. Well, I probably could. Naruto pretended to think. But I really can't remember when was the last time you taught us anything. He looked at his sensei, who was still deep in his orange book and didn't even start to unpack. The only thing I could add to your name right now is probably lazy and pervert. Kakashi's sweat dropped hearing Sakura's giggles and seeing Naruto and Sasuke's smirks. Oh? Asked the Jounin in a mockingly hurt tone, nose still in his book. And here I thought that I was teaching you too much for the last month. What about all those magnificent teamwork exe? Don't you dare to speak about those damn exercises as teaching, snapped Sasuke. They're meaningless. You're only doing them so you can be a lazy ass. Kakashi looked at his 3 students. Even Naruto couldn't hide his emotions, glaring at him. With a sigh, the Jounin stood up and hid his book in his pouch. They're not meaningless, Sasuke. As a Konoha shinobi, teamwork is your greatest asset. You have to develop it, the sooner the better. But he looked at his 3 students that were looking at him suspiciously. I think it's time to teach you something else. The Genin's eyes widened, the suspicion in them growing even bigger. Kakashi chuckled. They probably can't believe it. And then, who are you and what have you done with Kakashi? What are you talking about, Naruto? Asked the confused Jounin. You're only an hour late. You hide your book to talk with us and you even said that you want to teach us something other than teamwork, explained the redhead. You just can't be Kakashi. The one-eyed Jounin's sweat dropped. Okay, jokes aside, he started. Now come, knowing some of you, you will continue training late into the night, and I want to get some sleep. He wasn't worried about Sakura, but he already saw Sasuke training after midnight in the Uchiha compound, and judging from those few times when Naruto was almost asleep standing up, he also wasn't going to bed at 8 p.m. So what are you going to teach us, sensei? Asked Sakura, while following him away from their camp. Deciding that they were far enough, Kakashi stopped and turned around, giving them his eye smile. Tree climbing. His students' faces, that until now were showing various levels of anticipation, fell. You're kidding, right? Asked Sasuke. A little, admitted the Jounin. The real name for this exercise is tree walking. You're going to climb up the trees using only your legs. While Sakura started mumbling something around it's impossible, Naruto sighed. He already knew this exercise. 2 years ago he saw a Genin team that was trying to run up a tree. He started to practice this, and now he was able to make 9 steps if he started at a run. But then Kakashi continued his explanations. It's a chakra control exercise, he said, looking at Sakura, not noticing frown that appeared on Naruto's face. You're focusing chakra on your feet. Thanks to it they'll stick to the side of the tree, wall, or even a ceiling. It'll help in your control, but it's also useful in fights and… Fuck, Naruto? Is something wrong? They all looked at the muttering redhead. Young Uzumaki lowered his hand that he had over his face and looked back. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I just learned that I wasted the last 2 years. What are you talking about? Deciding that there's no point in hiding it, Naruto sighed and spoke. 2 years ago I saw a few Genins practicing this exercise you're talking about. So you knew it? Interrupted Sasuke, a bit frustrated that once again the dead last was ahead of him. Kind of, answered the redhead. The thing is, I didn't know that they were using chakra. I spent the last 2 years trying to do it without chakra, so I wasted this whole time for something completely useless. Sasuke's frustration disappeared, replaced by something that he couldn't quite understand. Sakura, on the other hand, was once again realizing how far behind her 2 teammates she was. From the beginning she was aware that Sasuke was better. After all, he was her Sasuke-kun, he was better than anyone. But after a few weeks she started noticing that Naruto was ahead of her as well. And now she knew why. During the academy she didn't even think about training outside of school. Well, started Kakashi, unaware of his other students' thoughts, you're not entirely right. Naruto looked at him questioningly. I admit that it's mostly useless, but considering your stealth skill, you will surely receive a few infiltration missions. If they involve chakra sensors you'd be at an advantage. How high can you run? 9 steps. Kakashi didn't show any reaction to the information that his Genin student could run 20 feet up the wall without chakra. Well, unfortunately, apart from that, I really can't find any other uses for this. He then turned his attention to his other students too. Okay, let's start. With those words he went over to one of the trees and walked up its side, following his hair's example and not caring about gravity. What you have to do is focus your chakra on your feet. The point is to find and maintain the proper amount. Too little and your feet won't stick to the surface. Too much, and you'll be pushed away. Now go on, try. They walked closer to the trees. Oh, I almost forgot. It'd be better for you to try starting with a run at the beginning. They stopped for a second and then, surprisingly, Sakura went first. She reached the tree and started running up. She was making good progress until her 7th step, when suddenly she slipped. She pushed herself away from the tree with her other leg and landed a few feet away. Exactly what I said. Kakashi was now looking at them hanging upside down on one of the branches. You used too little chakra. Nevertheless, you made a very good effort. Normally a first attempt ends in under 5 steps. Sakura beamed with happiness. Sasuke rushed forward, not wanting to be outdone by his weakest teammate. He ran 4 steps before something happened. They heard a quiet crack as the bark under his foot crumbled a bit. He tried to take another step but he slipped, which forced him to push away and land with a backflip. Well, you used too much, that's where that crack came from, commented Kakashi. Then you reduced it too much, which caused your slip. He then looked at his last student. Seeing this, Naruto sighed and followed his teammate's example. He managed only 3 steps, with cracks appearing already on 2nd. His 3rd step pushed him away from the tree, forcing him to land awkwardly. Hearing further cracks, he looked up and jumped away, avoiding a falling tree. Kakashi's sweat dropped. Naruto saw his resigned, though not so surprised, look. Until suddenly the surprise in his eyes deepened. Uzumaki looked in the same direction as his teacher, but he didn't see anything interesting apart from the sliced and cut remains of a tree. He looked back at his teacher to see him deep in thought. Kakashi? The Jounin's look concentrated on him, for a second still sharp, before it returned to its normal, lazy look. Sorry, I just couldn't believe how poor your chakra control is, Sasuke smirked. Naruto glared at both of them. This is actually quite easy. All 3 males looked up to see the only female in their team walking on the underside of the branch, more or less at the same height as Kakashi. That was the moment when she let out a silent scream and fell off. She made a half flip and landed on the ground, a bit heavily. Well, looks like she almost had it, said Kakashi, following her example and landing on the ground, only with a bit more grace. She's much better than you two. Both boys scowled a bit, while Sakura beamed with pride. Well, it's probably due to her low chakra reserves, mumbled Kakashi, like in an afterthought. Sakura's face fell and the Jounin chuckled inwardly. She has great control, even considering her low reserves, but she doesn't have to know that. Okay guys, you have an hour. After that it'd be better if you go rest. We still have a long way to go. Kakashi expected that they would have it down by the end of the week. Sakura managed to do it by the end of the first day. Kakashi ordered her to jump from one tree to another, staying under the branches. It wasn't actually a standard exercise, but with how good she was at chakra control, Kakashi decided to help her refine it, making it her best asset. Sasuke had it down after 2 days. It was a great time, but he wasn't pleased because he had been greatly outmatched by his weakest teammate. Wanting to catch up with her, he moved to the same exercise as Sakura. He was doing quite well even if he had to end sooner on the 3rd day, because he had blown off every branch around, and by sooner Kakashi meant after 2 hours, unlike normal days, when he was training for at least 5, late into the night. As for Naruto, Kakashi had no idea, because after their first day Redhead started to disappear for the nights, appearing in the morning, with bruises and dirt all over himself. He wasn't answering any question about his progress. Kakashi tried to follow him, but Naruto lost him quickly. That was everything about a trust to his sensei. It was the morning of the 6th day. At their current pace, the one-eyed Jounin expected to reach their destination in the evening. He, or any other Jounin, would be able to cover such distance in about 3 days without much stress, but for a group of fresh Genin 6 days was quite a good time, even if from 2 days Sakura was going to sleep without unpacking. But today it wasn't she that was delaying. For some reason Naruto was mostly using his hands to move between trees. Kakashi didn't want to hurry him considering that they were a day ahead of schedule, but still. Naruto? He asked, getting his, and everyone else's, attention. Is something wrong? His other students looked at the redhead. Sakura already noticed the slowed pace they were going at today, but she was actually grateful for it. She didn't want to complain, but she was sore and exhausted. Sasuke didn't notice. The day before he had decided to train during travel, so now he was mostly concentrating on sticking to the branches and sides of the tree. But now that Kakashi pointed it out, I just overdid it a little, said Naruto, pointing at his legs in between jumps. You still can't do it? Asked Sasuke with a smug grin, landing on the underside of the branch before jumping further. Seeing his display, Naruto sighed. After another push, he turned upside down and, without the slightest sway, jumped under another. He moved that way for the next 3 branches before going back to his hands with a raised corner of the lip that appeared after seeing that the surprised Sasuke had lost his concentration and had to climb back after blowing off a branch. I had it down 2 days ago, informed Naruto. I was just trying something else last night. And what was that something else? Asked Kakashi. Naruto was about to retort that it wasn't his business, but decided that it didn't matter since it didn't work anyway. After destroying that tree when you showed us this exercise, I thought that maybe I could make an attack out of it. But controlling it was a pain in the ass. A slightly ashamed look appeared on his face. Yesterday I decided to find out if it was even worth it. So I used as much chakra as I could. And? Asked Sasuke when Naruto didn't continue. Well, the tree was blown into another, admitted Naruto. As well as my boots and a lot of flesh from my feet. Sakura took a deep breath while Sasuke looked like he was suppressing a wince. If only you told me this sooner, I could have told you that it wasn't the best idea, said Kakashi. Or rather that it wasn't the best way. An idea in itself is actually great, using your weakness as an advantage, but to do the thing you wanted to do you need near perfect chakra control to channel it through your skin without ripping it. I know only one person who could use it repeatedly. Kakashi looked at his student. You could have asked me. I could have saved you a lot of pain. Naruto looked away. They continued in silence. The sun reached half of its way through the sky and started the second part of its journey. Clouds started to gather, ready to hide its path. Their surroundings changed during the day. Typically for the land of fire, forests gave way to dwarf bushes and then naked rocks. It was about an hour before the sunset when they reached their destination, a small mining village named Okihoa. One main road, 20 or 30 simple stone houses, mostly one-levels, with only 2 houses with a second floor, an inn, and what looked like the mayor's house. When they reached the village entrance, those few people that were wandering around quickly disappeared. They walked down the road to the mayor's house, looking around at the seemingly empty windows. Why are they hiding? Asked Sakura quietly. For a few weeks they've been attacked by bandits, said Naruto. What did you expect? Flowers and fanfares? They reached the mayor's house. Kakashi knocked on the door. It opened almost instantly, but only wide enough to talk. Why yes? Asked an obviously scared voice. Good evening. We're a team from Konoha requested for a C-rank mission, stated Kakashi politely with an eye smile. The door opened wider, if a bit hesitantly. They now saw a plump, tall man with black, graying hair and plain brown clothes made of some thick material. Behind him stood a woman, similar in posture and age, with blonde hair and in a blue dress made of the same fabric. They also saw 2 more figures deeper in the hall, but they were hidden in the shadow. Naruto also sensed 2 more figures upstairs, one much smaller, probably newborn or slightly older. You are? Asked the mayor, looking at them with doubt. I'm not sure if those kids can handle th. He trailed off when his eyes landed on Naruto. The other boy was quite normal, just a bit colder than his grandchild, and the little girl looked too fragile to even raise a pickaxe, but something in this redhead was very intimidating. And that knife that appeared in his hand out of the blue and was now spinning between his fingers didn't help. They will, Kakashi assured him. They're one of the best teams our village has, and in case of any trouble I'm here to help. I assure you that I'm more than enough to handle this. The mayor didn't seem too convinced, but decided to not argue. Well then, please come inside. You probably have some questions. Can you bring some tea, please? He said to the blonde woman before leading them to one of the rooms. Please sit down. My name is Hatake Kakashi, Jounin of Konoha, started Kakashi as they all seated themselves on various chairs. Those are my Genin students, Uchiha Sasuke, Uzumaki Naruto and Hirano Sakura. My name is Umi Hikate. The mayor introduced himself, and, seeing the woman coming back with tea and some cookies, pointed at her. And this is my wife, Akiko. Kakashi nodded politely to her before turning back to Hikate, pulling a scroll out of his pouch. According to this scroll you requested our help with a group of bandits that was attacking your village. The mayor nodded. Can you tell us anything more about them? Unfortunately, not much, stated Hikate. They attacked us for the first time almost 2 months ago. You waited 2 months before requesting help? Interrupted Sasuke. We sent our request a week after the first attack. Then why was nobody sent before? Asked Sasuke, this time turning to his sensei. They're civilians, Sasuke said Kakashi patiently. You can travel to Konoha in a week. For them it takes a bit more time. Now, sorry for the interruption. They won't do this again. He glared at his students. Please continue. Hikate seemed interested in this little display, but continued nonetheless. As I said, they attacked us almost 2 months ago. They beat a few people, knocked one out, destroyed a few windows and said that if we don't want to see how the village looks in flames then we would pay them. We couldn't do anything, so we obeyed. The mayor looked down, shame visible on his face. His wife put a hand on his shoulder. After a few seconds he continued. Since then, they've been coming back once or twice a week. We also learned that they attacked few nearby villages. Are they taking only money? Asked Kakashi. No, they're also taking food. Jounin nodded. That could mean that they were alone here. If they had only taken money that would mean that they had someone that provided supplies to them or that they were buying food elsewhere, but that was rather unlikely. Do you know where their camp is? No one was brave enough to follow them, but they always come from the southwest. When was the last attack? 2 days ago. Has it rained since then? Asked Naruto. Kakashi wanted to scold him, but he was about to ask the same question, so he let it slip. Surprisingly, no. We're living quite close to the rain country, so it rains almost every day, but last time was the morning of the attack. Are they traveling on foot? Continued Kakashi. No, on horses. Okay then, I think that will be all for now, said Kakashi, standing up. The mayor and Genin's followed him. I'm sure you're tired. Unfortunately, I don't have a place here, but I know that there are a few vacant rooms in the inn, Hikate informed them with an apologetic smile. That's okay, Hikate-san. They were about to leave when Mayor's quiet voice stopped them. Do you think you can stop them? Kakashi turned around. Don't worry. Somehow, despite the mask, Hikate was sure that the Jounin was smiling reassuringly. Good night. And with those words the Konoha shinobi were gone. So, what's the plan? Asked Sasuke as they all walked outside. The sun had already gone down, and darkness took the world in its reign. For now, we're going to the inn to rest, said Kakashi, and after seeing surprised looks on his students' faces he continued. We came here in 6 days. You're tired. It's my fault, I shouldn't push you so much. That's why. He raised his voice a bit seeing that they were going to interrupt him. We're going to rest for now. And that's why you are not going to train tonight, right? He looked at Naruto and Sasuke. The Uchiha nodded his head reluctantly, but Naruto didn't show any sign of agreeing. Okay, let's go. It was the morning of the next day, and Team 7 was, surprisingly, waiting. The previous day, before they all went to their respective rooms, Kakashi ordered them to meet him at 7 a.m. at the entrance of the village with their shinobi gear. So here they were, armed with their weapons, medic kits, a bit of food and cloaks, because the rain was about to fall, waiting calmly, quietly and patiently for the last member of their team. Okay, I lied. They weren't calm, quiet nor patient. Where the hell is he? Well, he's late only few minutes. That doesn't matter. He should be here. We are on a mission, Shinaro. Maybe he overslept. Shinaro, HN. I checked his room before. It looked like he hadn't even been there. So it seems that he didn't listen when I said no training, mused Kakashi. Yup. It was Naruto who was missing. Kakashi was here, have been on time even if only thanks to Sasuke, who dragged him out of the bed, not wanting any delays. The Uchiha didn't take into account his red-headed teammate though. So what are we going to do? Asked Sakura quietly. Thank Kami. While I'm tempted to leave him here, started Kakashi, we will probably need his help, so we have to wait. Sakura growled and started murmuring. Damn that baka! And here I thought that I wouldn't be forced to wait. When he shows up I'm going to beat him into the next week, Shinaro. He'll regret. Sasuke and Kakashi sweat dropped. Before Uchiha asked, what are we going to do after we find this idiot? Well, first we have to find their camp. Then we'll think of the best plan to attack them? Plan? We can't just rush head on at them, can we? Why not? When Sasuke saw the Jounin's surprised look he continued. They're just normal bandits. I'm sure I can take them, Naruto too, even Sakura wouldn't have a problem. And with you I would prefer not to take part in this, interrupted Kakashi. What? Asked Sakura, stopping her murmuring. But you're the team leader. I'm your sensei as well. And while Sasuke is right that you three can take those bandits head on and slip out of it with only few scratches, this is a great opportunity to train your tactical sense for future, more dangerous assignments. That's why I want you to think of a plan that would give the most benefits with the least risk. Kakashi chuckled when he saw their confused and, in Sakura's case, a bit scared faces. Don't worry, I won't leave you alone. Sorry, I'm kind of late. They turned around to see Naruto emerging from the nearest home's shadow. Kakashi wasn't sure what it was. Maybe something in Naruto's blue eyes, or the way they twitched when the redhead took his hood off. Maybe it was his instinct, honed during many years of war. Whatever it was, it caused him to grab the nearest person and substitute them with a rock behind one of the homes. Baka! Where the hell have you been, Shinaro? I'm going. What has gotten into her? Asked Naruto, who also replaced himself with a rock when he saw that she was taking a deep breath. Is it her time of the month or something? Sasuke shrugged, regaining his composure after being saved by his sensei from a very painful death. He then took a closer look at the Uzumaki. Whole night of training, huh? He asked when he saw dirt on the redhead's clothes and dark bags under tired-looking blue eyes. Naruto shook his head. No, I was finding and infiltrating the bandits' camp. While Sasuke looked at him in disbelief, Kakashi said, and I assumed that you told me about this and I just forgot, right? Or maybe you left a note that said where you went, and we just missed it? No, I made a trail of breadcrumbs so you could follow me if you wanted. Kakashi sighed heavily and looked at Naruto. You don't have to defend yourself. I'm not mad that you made this call. Actually, it's what I want from all of you. To be creative, clever, anticipate. But you have to tell us before you do something like that. Naruto sighed and looked away. Okay, let's leave it for now. Tell us what you've learned. Naruto, drawn from his thoughts, was silent for a few seconds, collecting his mind before opening his mouth, but Sasuke was first. What about Sakura? They all looked in her direction, still behind the house. Her screams were still audible. It seemed like she didn't even notice their disappearance. They sweat dropped. Maybe when she calms down, okay? Asked Kakashi, to which both boys nodded fast. Naruto, I found their camp in the valley to the west. They don't have shinobi training, so they had to go around the hardest parts. That's why they were coming from the southwest. For us it's about a 2-hour trip. Their camp has definitely been there for a long time, wooden walls, deep trenches, posts around, 2 entries. From the degree of usage I would say that it was made a few months ago. I didn't have any problems in infiltrating it. There wasn't anything too fancy. Few tents, few wooden buildings, fireplaces. I would say a camp during transformation into a regular base. I counted around 80, 90 men. I was wandering around for a few hours. It was night, so I didn't hurt too much, but it was enough to know that we have two problems. First, they're going to one of the villages, Tabanora, today. It's supposed to be a large group, 30 thugs. I don't think that they need that much only to get a bit of money. Kakashi nodded. If the villagers were scared, then even 5 bandits would be enough. Second, they have hostages. I heard something about punishment for heroism, so I think that somebody tried to fight. Kakashi's eye narrowed. You saw them? Naruto nodded. How many? And where? About 20, plus minus a few, women and few children. They were kept in one of the buildings, bars in the windows, guards in the entry. I also saw a few taken away. Naruto ended after a glance at Sasuke. Kakashi understood that he was hiding more brute facts. Sasuke also saw it, but he wasn't sure what Redhead was hiding. He was about to ask, but Kakashi was faster. Okay, we'll think about this later. For now, we need to take care of their little trip to this Tabanora. Let's calm Sakura down and move out. Kakashi took a few steps in the, still screaming, Sakura's direction, but when he noticed that the boys weren't following, he turned around. Naruto and Sasuke were looking at him with fear, shock, and a bit of admiration on faces. You want to calm her? Asked Uchiha. You're the bravest man I ever saw, sensei, muttered Uzumaki. Terrain around Okihoa, Tabanora and Bandits' camp was very tough, full of valleys and crags. Riding on horses, bandits didn't have much choice in choosing the ways. They had to go by normal, used by merchants and villagers' roads, or risk straying in a rock labyrinth. And caused their very cautions, and even after a month of peaceful robbery they still expected some kind of resistance, they decided to take harder, but safer way through the maze. Yaesuri, group of 20 bandits was galloping through the main road between Tabanora and Kurohoto without a care in the world. And why should they? They're doing what they wanted for the last month, and the only resistance that they saw was one idiot, who thought that his wife is only for himself. They quickly showed him that he was wrong, on his very eyes, and then killed him. As well as the rest of the villagers. The village itself was burned, but they couldn't leave those few women that survived somehow. They had to help them after all. Now they're riding to the largest village around Tabanora. Last group that went there didn't return, so boss regarded them as killed, probably by villagers. They could as well just lost in the wastelands, but who cared? Cylon was one of the last in the column. In normal squad that would mean that he has to act as a rear guard, but they didn't have to. In exchange, he's busy thinking about certain Bluenet from Tabanora. He saw her during their first raid there, but boss ordered them to leave her be. He didn't want any angry villagers that could thought about revenge or rescuing kidnapped maidens. When they weren't too bad, villagers weren't attacking, cause they still had something to lose. But now, after the order to burn it to the ground, there wasn't any obstacle to rescue poor Bluenet and take her to the camp for a bit of fun. Cylon grinned evilly. Bluenet had 2 daughters. They're a bit too young, but their faces would be quite a show if he forced them to watch. Sudden explosion and screams drawed him out of his thoughts. He looked up, only for his eyes to widen in surprise and fear. Huge blast to the right ripped chunks of earth in the middle of the crag, burying at least 10 men and horses. Second after another set of screams raised into the air, those ones from behind the debris. Few of the bandits rushed their horses, deciding to go around the rocks, but before they could even reach the first ones 2 figures appeared on the new hill. One was a dark-haired boy in blue and white, second was pink-haired girl in red. Before Cylon saw anything else they jumped down, attacking the most front-end men with inhuman speed, throwing them unconscious to the ground. In the same time few knives appeared in surrounding him bandits' backs, forcing them down. When he looked behind he saw another figure, or rather black and red blur, that was attacking his companions. Next thing he saw was a knife that was flying to his head, and then he stopped to see anything. Kakashi was looking at Naruto. And was worried. Again, he's looking at his students during the ambush, ready to intervene at any sign of danger. But they made it perfectly, causing the rock to fall on the group and dividing them. Then they attacked, not giving bandits any time to react, knocking all of them off, almost all. And that was what was worrying him. Naruto killed few of them. Kakashi never strictly ordered them to catch them alive, so it wasn't anything wrong. In his shoes Kakashi would probably kill even more. At first he's just resigned. It only meant that they're going to have first kill talk, but Naruto wasn't terrified. He wasn't looking blankly in the space, on bodies or kunai. He wasn't disgusted of the blood on his hand. He wasn't acting like any other fresh genin that just killed for the first time. Sakura seemed more shocked than Naruto when he took out his canteen and started washing his hands. There could be 2 explanations. Or Naruto didn't care, killing someone wasn't for him anything more than an action, a move. Or it wasn't his first kill. Kakashi really wasn't sure what was worse. Potential mass murderer or child with blood on hands? He looked at his other students. Sakura seemed shocked and terrified. He wasn't surprised. Knowing her, she probably didn't even thought that somebody could die on this mission. Sasuke's face was totally emotionless, but his eyes, wandering from bodies to Naruto, betrayed him. Okay, thinking later, now they had a job. Okay guys, that was great job. He started, getting their attention. Now let's tie those boys and we'll wait for our backup. Sasuke, Sakura, you two will be on guard from south. Me and Naruto will be on the north. Understood? Hi! They said in unison and get to work. Before that day, after a few more questions to Mayor Hikate, they went to find a proper place for a trap. Upon arriving to the place there now, Kakashi ordered his students to prepare their little welcome party, while he went to Tabanora to find out what happened there. As they suspected, few braver villagers decided that they don't want to live under bandits' heel anymore. They prepared a trap and captured the next group. It wasn't really that hard. They only had to kill one of the 5 thugs that came to show them that those 20 enraged villagers weren't kidding. Before Kakashi finished telling them about upcoming group and their trap, most of the villagers were already packing. Rest of them wanted to come and help. Jounin managed to calm both of the groups, telling them that his group will stop them, and that they're too far away for them to come in time. Nevertheless, he agreed when they proposed to take care of the prisoners. That's why, after taking care of the living and, in Kakashi's case, dead bandits, they're waiting for their backup. On one side, Sakura and Sasuke, both with images of bodies and Naruto's unchanged face in their minds. On the other, Naruto, quiet as always, and Kakashi, who was discreetly observing his student. You want something? Well, looks like he wasn't so discreet. Naruto started Kakashi, and stopped, not knowing how to continue. After a few seconds he decided to just ask bluntly. Was this your first kill? No, responded quickly Naruto. So quickly, that Kakashi was sure that he's expecting this question. Then when was? I understand that you're interested. Interrupted Redhead. But you should also understand that it isn't something I want to talk about. Kakashi nodded and turned around to go to the other side of the road, but decided to speak one last time. Just remember that I'm here if you want to talk. There was no response. So, do you have any plan? Asked Kakashi. Naruto didn't respond, even if he had few. He looked at his teammates. Sakura was embarrassed. She probably didn't had anything. When she noticed that he's looking at her, she quickly looked away, but he still caught flash of fear. Naruto said that there are 2 entries. Started Sasuke. So if we block them, we 3 on one side, and you, Kakashi, on the other, we could take a lot of them when they rush at us. Then 2 of us will go inside to clean the rest, while the other 2 will stop at the gates to make sure that nobody will run away. Kakashi was silent for a few seconds, continuing their running towards the bandits' camp, before speaking. Not bad, but there are a few downsides. You 2 found them? He looked at his other students. What if there is another entry? Asked hesitantly Sakura. Naruto opened his mouth to reply that he noticed it, but he realized that it's against his own rule. Always assume that you missed something. In exchange he decided to point another thing. And what about the hostages? Sasuke and Sakura looked at him puzzled. What about them? We'll free them after taking care of the bandits. Naruto sighed and looked over his shoulder at Kakashi. Jounin nodded. Redhead sighed again and turned back to his teammates. Let's say we're lucky. Started Naruto. We 3 will block one gate, Kakashi the other one. They'll see us and attack. We'll take out around 20 before they notice that we're too good for them and run. Kakashi will take care of another 20. We took down another 30 earlier, so that leaves around 20 thugs left. After they realize that they don't stand a chance, one of them can get a brilliant idea to use hostages against us. You want to find out how good you're in rescuing the living shields? During his little rant, Naruto was observing both his teammates. Sakura seemed stunned. He wasn't expecting anything from her. She's smart, but right now, after their previous encounter, she was too shocked. Sasuke reacted as always. At first surprise, then anger. Probably that Naruto dared to correct him, and then resignation when he realized that Redhead was right and that he should figure this out too. So what are we going to do? He asked. Rescue hostages before we start the attack? We can't. I'm able to sneak through the camp, you probably too, but they're civilians. Then what? Attack right after they start to run? That would work if we're still assuming that we're lucky. But think what could go wrong. Their retreat can be false. There could be someone who will think about hostages sooner. I could have missed some bandits, so there could be more of them. They could. Okay, I get it. Interrupted Sasuke. So, do you have a plan? Naruto suppressed a grin. Yes. Yours. We just have to take hostages out first. Naruto emerged from the shadow of the valley wall, put on his red hair and black scarf covering downside of his face. Using every rock and pit he could find, he approached the palisade and run up its side without chakra. Catching the sharpened top of the trunk, he lifted himself only enough to take a peek over it. Not noticing anybody around, he jumped down the other side and hid in the shadow of a nearby shed. Naruto concentrated on his sixth sense to make sure that there wasn't anybody nearby. He then looked at the prison building. Yesterday, during his first trip, he remembered layout of the camp, so he didn't had any problems with finding it now. Redhead sighed inwardly. Prison was on the other side of the camp, so he had to go all the way around the central square. He may be able to hide from MBU, But even this wasn't enough to sneak through the middle of the only lighted part of the camp. Sighing with resignation again, Naruto started his journey. The camp was made of a well-lighted central square and outer rim occupied by living buildings, few storages, prison building and a building that Naruto was assuming were headquarters. Resident part occupied around 3/4 of the outer rim and was made of tents, shaky sheds and few but not completely built houses. They were not sure how long they'll be here, or decided that if nobody ordered them to they don't have to bother. Reaching his target took him over half an hour. Yesterday he's able to go around whole camp in that time, but yesterday he's here in the middle of a night, and now it's only late evening. Sun was already hidden though. Naruto also hoped for a bit of rain, but damn clouds stopped releasing their luggage few hours ago. Hiding behind some boxes near the storage, Naruto eyed the prison. Like before, 2 bandits were guarding the entrance. Bars in the windows weren't much of a problem, but it would take too long. He looked for some other entry. He could always take out those guards, but their absence could attract someone's attention. He spotted loose board just under the top of the roof. Under it, beam protruded out of the wall. After making sure that nobody is nearby, maybe it wasn't chakra sensing, but his sensory ability was damn useful. Whatever it was, he emerged from his cover, run up the prison wall, caught the beam and lifted himself up. Without the chakra. Partially out of habit, and partially to restrict his chakra usage. He didn't spot any shinobi, but chakra sensing was an inborn talent. Ninja training was only sharpening it. Board was loose. There was a few holes in it, but not even one nail. Moving it an inch aside, Naruto looked inside. As before, 2 torches on the both sides of a door lighted 8 wooden cells. In each one of them were around 3 curled figures. The torches had pluses and minuses. Somebody from outside could see him through the window, but on the other side the hostages would be less scared by his sudden appearance. Surprise shouts could attract some attention. Naruto crawled inside and put the board in its place. He moved to the middle of the beam and was about to whisper something when he sensed someone approaching the building. Damn it! Couldn't he wait few minutes? Thought angrily Naruto. Someone walked to the door and paused for a few seconds, probably talking with the guards, before laughing loudly and entering. Naruto caught only a glimpse of a scar on his left cheek before he moved past the torches, hiding his face. He had brown hair and clothes, and katana at his waist. Now, which one today? His voice was deep, it sounded kind of like barking of a dog. Any volunteers to entertain me tonight? He started walking slowly between the cages, all captives curled by the wall, as far from him as they could. No? Well, it seems like I have to choose one, he said, passing first cells and looking in the second on the left. Hey, beauty, remember last time? Maybe you want to repeat that, blonde woman cried silently, and curled closer to the wall. No? Oh well, bandit continued his walk, and then stopped looking inside the third cell on the left. Hey, little one, remember me? There were 3 women and a little, maybe 10 years old girl inside the cell. When he spoke to her, the girl shivered and curled to woman on the left, who hugged her quickly. Looks like you remember Mus Bandit. Naruto slowly moved, careful to not make any sound, above him. Your mother was good, fighting for quiet long, but you saw this, didn't you? Unfortunately, she died. Maybe I made her feel too good. He took out a key. Are you curious what it feels like? I can show you. No, please, she's just a child, pleaded the woman that was hugging her. So maybe you want to take her place? Asked mockingly Bandit. She stayed silent. I thought so. But maybe you don't have to? I don't hear any protests from her. She say. Well, if she won't say anything, he put a special emphasis on say. Then I assume that she don't have anything against it. He opened the cell. Now come here, little one. We're go. He didn't end. Dark blur fall on him, pinning him to the ground with a quiet thud. All hostages looked surprised at Naruto, who was crouching on the bandit's back, still holding a kunai embed inside his skull. For a few seconds everyone was quiet, before the woman that was hugging the girl opened her mouth. Silence, whispered harshly Naruto. He walked to the door, leaving the kunai in the bandit's skull and summoning another. He stood for a few seconds, listening the guards, before turning around and motioning to the captives to come. After a slight hesitation, one of them listened. Take a key from him, whispered Naruto. Open rest of the cells and gather all of them here. The woman nodded and get to work. For a minute or two Naruto was listening, wincing slightly when he heard rustles. But he couldn't do anything about it. At least they weren't asking questions. When all of them gathered, he started. Okay, listen up. Listen to me, he whispered harshly, seeing few blank looks. When he made sure that they're listening, he continued. My friends are going to attack this camp. We won't be able to take you out before it, so we decided to move you somewhere to make sure that they wouldn't use you. Now I'm going to take out those guards and then, one by one, on my mark, you're going to run to the storage in the front. Once there, we'll wait until everything is over. Any questions? Naruto waited few seconds before continuing. Okay, stay here, and whatever happens, be quiet, okay? Few of them nodded. Naruto turned around, took a deep breath and opened the door. The guard on the left looked at him, opening his mouth, probably to ask what took him so long. Naruto didn't let him. Kunai ring hit him in the temple. His eyes rolled to look how pretty the back of his skull was as he lost consciousness. The other one didn't even have time to look before Kunai ring found his head. Naruto sealed his weapons back and caught both of them before they hit the ground. He dragged them inside and put them together in the nearest cell. He looked at the woman with the key. Lock them. And wait here, he added, looking at them all. Naruto rushed outside, closing the door. He looked around, making sure that his sixth sense wasn't fooling him. He ran quietly to the storage, pushed the door, and cursed. Fuck! Why the hell they locked it? And why didn't I check it before? His eyes glided over the door. It didn't have a keyhole, so he couldn't just pick the lock. Destroying the door was also out of question. Nobody could find them once the attack began, and a hole in the wall would probably attract some attention. Well, that means the other way, he thought. He sneaked around and found the other way. Downside was that it was from the side of the center of the camp, well lighted by the fire. Going that way was a great risk. Only luck decides if somebody see him. And as for the door being open, he could only pray. But he didn't have any other way. Naruto took a deep breath and decided to be impudent. He emerged from the shadow without even trying to hide, walked casually to the door, and opened it like he owned it. Once inside and with closed door, he quickly scanned the inside before turning around and looking through the crack between the woods. After a minute he relaxed and walked to the closed door. He quickly took off blocking beam, opened it, and rushed to the prison building. Women inside seemed relieved when he walked inside. They probably assumed that his continuing absence meant that he's caught or leave them. Naruto brushed those thoughts aside, concentrating on the task at hand. Listen, on my mark, one by one, you're going to run to the storage. Once inside, find some place where you won't be too much on sight and be quiet. Whatever happen, even if someone see you, your scream will only alarm others, understood? When all of them nodded, Naruto motioned to the first one. He closed his eyes and concentrated on his sensing. Once sure that nobody is around, he looked in the direction of the center square. Go, he whispered. The woman ran to the storage, trying to be quiet. Naruto squirmed a bit hearing her footsteps, but it could be worse. When she reached the door, he motioned to the next one. Go. This continued for a next minute or two. He ordered next, around 15th, he wasn't counting, woman to go when he sensed someone approaching. If he or she will continue on this course, this person will walk right next to the prison, and probably notice the absence of the guards. It'd be better to be out of here before it. He looked behind, at the three women and the girl from before. Go all together. Go, they listened, rushing outside. Naruto stayed in place. He could always can sneak out, and here he had surprise advantage if needed. He watched as 4 prisoners run to the storage door, held by one of the previously sent women. Little girl was falling back because of her small legs, but it still looked like she'd reached the door before the bandit come. At least until she tripped and fall to the ground. Hey! What are you doing, you little twerp? Loud male voice. The girl looked behind to see tall, blonde-haired bandit with a club in hand. How did you get out? That was another bandit that couldn't end his threat towards her. This one received a strong punch to the back of the skull that knocked him out. Naruto, who stood right behind now falling bandit, quickly ran to the girl, took her in his arms and dashed through the open door of the storage. Once inside, he put the girl behind some boxes and looked at her, surprised that she didn't let out any sound. He met a huge, green eyes that were looking at him with fear, thought he saw a hint of trust the same as Shiho. He quickly turned around to the rest of the prisoners. Everybody here? And okay? He received few nods. Okay, put that beam in its place and help me with those boxes to barricade the other door. When everything was set up, Naruto put his hands in a ram hand seal and thought. Let's the party begin. Somewhere in the distance they all heard loud explosion. All captives looked around worried, but Naruto stayed calm. He knew the plan. Explosive tags that he just set off had 2 purposes. First was to convince a bit of Valley's side that laying on the ground is more comfortable than hanging from the wall. So now those rocks were blocking east entrance to the camp. Second purpose was to give his teammates signal to attack. Naruto watched through the crack at the sudden commotion that engulfed whole camp. Bandits were waking up, rushing out of their tents and sheds with weapons in hands. Most of them were running left and right without any purpose, but Naruto noticed few that run to the square and waited, looking at the boss house as if expecting someone to give them orders. And indeed, after another few seconds, giant of a man with very short black hair and huge axe on his back walked out yelling and waving. Naruto heard something like, "What the hell is going on? Calm them down, check the hostages, guard the gates," and few single words. Bandits from the square, probably officers, must Naruto in the back of his head, scattered quickly, rushing in various directions. Unfortunately, before the ones going to the west reached the outer rim, 2 figures jumped from between tents and rushed at them. Naruto watched as Sasuke and Sakura were quickly knocking them out. Those bandits may be good enough to reach officer's seat, but they're no match for a shinobi, even as weak as Sakura. She may lack in physical part, but she was using chakra. This was fuck, muttered Naruto, seeing the shocked look on Pinkette's face. Moment before 3 bandits attacked her at once, while 4th sneaked to her back. She quickly beat those in front and then acted on instinct, attacking blindly behind her. The problem is that she had kunai in hand, so now there she was, looking in the eyes of the man that she just stabbed in stomach. As life disappeared from his eyes, her shock turned to fear. She let go of the weapon and shakily took few steps back. Her wide-open eyes turned down, at her blood-soaked hand. Her body started shaking uncontrollably. Naruto cursed once again, seeing few bandits approaching her immobile figure. He put his hands in a hand seal that's far. With a bit of smoke, Naruto replaced Sakura in the middle of the square, quickly shaking the dizziness from using substitution, and spurred into action, knocking attackers out. He quickly moved forward, catching up with Sasuke. Uchiha looked at him with suspicion in his eyes, before those black orbs widened slightly. Naruto? Oh yeah, they didn't saw me in this. Thought, said Redhead, moving his hood back a bit to show his red hair before putting it back. Where is Sakura? And why are you here? You should. Sakura is with hostages. Interrupted Naruto, blocking a katana with a kunai in his left hand and sinking his right fist in attacker's stomach. Why? Asked Uchiha, grabbing a wrist of a bandit with his left hand, then securing his grip by catching his elbow with right. He spun around and threw him at the next approaching thug. I'll explain later, yelled back Naruto, jumping and kicking next bandit in the head, and then, without falling, jumped to the next three, knocking them all out. Let's handle them first. Sasuke shrugged, giving a HN as an only confirmation. By now, on the square there were only 7 standing bandits. Rest of them were or laying on the ground, unconscious, dead, unable to stand, or deciding that the gates are definitely more important places to defend. They were even thinking about going on patrol around the camp. There could be more foes outside the walls, right? Naruto and Sasuke moved forward, quickly and swiftly taking care of the remaining bandits. Last one actually fainted on his own after seeing his college being beaten into a shaking pulps, but Sasuke still helped him fall with a knee in the face. Impressive! Boomed deep, rough voice. Both Genins looked at the door to the boss house to see, as Naruto suspected, giant bandit leader. Now, being closer, he noticed numerous scars on his face and on his exposed muscular arms. He wore plain, brown pants and sleeveless, open green jacket, showing his huge muscled chest, crossed by a leather straps that was holding his axe in its place on his back. Very impressive. I've never thought that I'd see somebody who can beat those idiots as easy as me. I'd propose you to join my group. He looked at them, noticing Sasuke's glare and Naruto's bored look. But something is telling me that you won't accept. He reached for his axe. Sasuke tensed, but Naruto only smirked, still with the same bored expression. Impressive. Very impressive, he said mockingly. I've never thought that you're able to create so long sentence. Giant leader growled loudly and attacked them, swinging his axe straight down at Naruto, who quickly jumped away, followed by Sasuke, who avoided vertical swing. While the giant looked at them both, obviously surprised that they managed to evade, both Genins were eyeing him suspiciously, the same thought in their minds. He's fast. Faster than anyone without chakra. Probably as fast as Sakura, if not faster. And definitely much stronger, if the size of that axe is any indication. Naruto looked over the leader, looking for any sign that he is, or was, a ninja. But he didn't have hit, slashed or not, or even a pouch. Also, Naruto wasn't totally sure, but the way the giant stood and held this axe didn't seem too professional to him. He don't look like someone who would hide his true abilities to avoid attention. Quite opposite, actually. So that means that he was through out before becoming an actual shinobi, during academy or something, or he's using chakra on instinct, without any training. Naruto looked at Sasuke, hoping that the duck would have used his head for once. Uchiha noticed his glance and nodded, but Naruto still wasn't sure whether it's a sign of his readiness or understanding. Both Genins rushed at the bandit from both sides, hoping to force him to open to one of them. Unfortunately, Giant showed that he don't care about their hopes and rushed at Naruto, once again attacking with single, two-handed downward slash. Naruto wanted to sidestep it, but something told him to jump away. And good, cause the sheer power of this attack raised the earth around the blade in at least 2 feet radius. Second later, Sasuke reached him, ready to slash him at the leg, but had to roll away to avoid axe's handle in his pretty Uchiha face. He threw few shurikens at their enemy's face, but Giant raised his bare hand and stopped them. That's why I don't like shurikens, muttered Naruto when Sasuke landed at his side. HN, grunted Sasuke. Kunais aren't much better. Naruto shrugged and was about to say something, but huge blade that is slashing through your and your comrade's throat is an important obstacle. Bandit's leader rested his axe on his shoulder and stood over their bodies, laughing. You should have more brain than talking in the middle of the fight, brats. He looked at their separated heads, both with wide eyes and shock painted on their faces. Now let's find out if they're any more array. He didn't end his thought. Unbelievable strong kick to his back broke his spine instantly. As his body was sent flying, he opened his mouth to scream, more in shock than in pain. Actually, he didn't register it yet, but he couldn't feel anything below his neck. But it didn't matter anyway. He didn't yell. Kunai that was waiting at the end of his unwanted jump silenced him. Naruto landed, wincing quietly when pain shoot from his left feet. I should have listened to Kakashi, he thought looking at it. His heel was practically ripped off, blood dripping on the earth while he was standing on his right leg. Naruto cursed silently and looked at Sasuke. Uchiha Air was standing over Giant's dead body. His eyes were hidden by his hair, lips clenched tightly, hands shaking a bit. Blood was dripping from the kunai in his hand. Great. He too, thought Naruto, walking to Sasuke, stomping only on the toes of his left foot. He put a hand on Uchiha's shoulder and asked, "Hey, you okay?" Sasuke looked at him with a distance in his eyes. Naruto winced inwardly and was about to say something, but before he even thought what to say, Uchiha noticed his leg. His eyes regained their normal look when he glared at Redhead. "You're asking me if I'm okay with a leg like this?" Naruto inwardly sighed with relief, while outside only shrugged. "Just a scratch. I have to keep him focused on something else," he thought and looked around. "Listen, we took out most of them and Kakashi probably already welcomed the rest. But I think that we should go around and find out if there are anyone left, okay?" "I maybe should," said Sasuke. "But you should go and take care of this leg before you lose too much blood." Naruto looked at him with surprise and disbelief, but before Sasuke could ask about it he grinned. Is it worry that I heard an almighty Uchiha-sama's voice?" Sasuke smirked. "Please, Dobe, I just don't want to rescue your sorry ass when some big, bad bandit attack you. Come on, team, we both know that even with this leg I can still take more bandit than you. Is that a challenge, Uzumaki? Show me what you've got, Uchiha." Sakura was sitting on the rock at the edge of their camp. They're a few miles to the east of the bandits' camp. At first Sasuke proposed to stay in the camp for the night, but the freed women wanted to leave this place as fast as they could, and Sakura agreed with them. In the end, Kakashi stayed in the camp to look over the bandits, leading the hostages through the night to the nearest village to Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura. They walked for almost an hour before they decided to rest for the rest of the night. They made a camp under the rock ledge to shield from the rain that was now falling non-stop. Women lied down almost instantly. Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura decided to stay on guard in case that there are still some wandering bandits around. Sasuke took first shift, Naruto disappeared somewhere in the darkness and Sakura lied down. But after 2 hours of tossing on the futon she stood up and walked to the place where she's sitting now. She couldn't sleep. She was still seeing, again and again, those brown eyes. How they're widening in shock, pain and fear, until, after what to her seemed like days, everything started to fade, life left his eyes, they became blank. She saw all this. She did this. With her own hands, on which, despite thorough cleanings, she was still seeing and feeling blood. She remembered how he started to fall on her, still with her kunai and stomach, reaching towards her as if he wanted to grab and take her with him, wherever he was going. "Can't sleep?" She heard his voice, but didn't react. She wanted to be left alone. "You okay?" Sakura sighed. "He just couldn't go, huh?" "Everything is fine." "Yeah, sure," Naruto said sarcastically. "And my foot is not ripped off," he muttered, but she still heard him. She looked up, at least at his feet, because the sight of the blood seeping through the bandage on it caught her eyes. She blinked to chase away the image of other bloodied limb. "What the hell happened to you?" she asked quietly, at least for her standards. "I just didn't listen to Kakashi, don't." He stopped. Sakura looked at his face and saw a look of shock and surprise. "You're worried?" he mumbled, more to himself than to her. "Of course I'm worried. My teammate is bleeding like after losing a foot, isn't that a good reason to be worried?" Naruto was looking at her for about 5 seconds before smiling. The corner of his lip rose. "It is." Sakura blinked at him, not sure what that meant. "Weirdo," she muttered. She once again looked at his leg, and this time she couldn't fight the images of a kunai, embedded deep inside a stomach, with blood seeping through brown shirt and spraying over the blade and hand that was holding the weapon. Her hand. "Don't think about it." Sakura blinked and realized that she's still looking at Naruto's foot. "You should change those bandages before you lose." "I wasn't talking about this." Pinkette looked up to notice that he's eyeing her with a calculating look. She ran from this piercing gaze, looking in the direction of a camp. One fire went out, leaving 2 others to light the sleeping forms of the rescued women. "How are you doing this?" she suddenly asked, looking at him. "Yuuke killed today for the first time as well, but you seem so uncaring, so collected, so calm. How are you doing this? Don't you feel anything?" She winced, partly because she realized how it sounded and partly because of the glare that he sent her. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." Naruto sighed. "I know." He sat on a rock in front of her and glanced over her shoulder. "You're just looking for a way to stay sane." He sighed again and looked in her eyes. "I don't think that there are any words or magic spell that would make you feel better. It's just something that you'll have to get used to if you want to continue your shinobi career. With time it'll become easier. Just make sure that it won't become too easy for you." Sakura thought for a second. "But how? You want me to don't feel? To abandon all my feelings so I—" "No," he interrupted her forcefully. "Life without feelings isn't a life. Don't abandon your feelings, take them under control, and if they're too much to take at once, shut them for now and take care of them later." He let her think about this for a while before continuing. "It's not the best method. It won't help, just delay it. But in time of a mission it's necessary. Sakura nodded, seeming to understand what he had told her. But it's all just like healing symptoms. To really find peace you have to find a reason why you are doing this. For what, or who, you're fighting and enduring such a life. When she looked at him questioningly he asked, why have you become shinobi? She opened her mouth to answer but he spoke first. Just don't say that it's for Sasuke. After all you meet him already in the academy, so your fangirl crush, however stupid it is, wasn't the reason why you've joined the academy. She looked down, thinking about everything that he just said. Think about it. And make sure that your drive is good. Because if it won't be then, no matter how powerful you'll become, someday you'll hesitate. And that'd be your end. Naruto stood up, leaving her with her own thoughts. He turned around to go back to the camp when he sensed someone approaching them from that way. The figure that was coming from the camp walked closer and Naruto could feel her now shape her. It's a small one. After a few seconds she came from between the rocks, confirming his suspicions. It's this little girl that the bandit was talking to. You saw this, didn't you? No wonder she can't sleep. Sakura heard girl's footsteps and turned to her. She took a closer look. She saw a small girl, judging by height around 9 or 10 years old, with huge green eyes, one of them partly covered by few bangs of her short gray hair. She's wearing a dark green dress that reached her knees and a blanket over her shoulders. She had only one green sandal. Sakura also noticed few bruises on her legs, hands and face. What are you doing here, sweetie? She asked her with a friendly smile. The girl looked at her helplessly. You can't sleep? Asked quietly Naruto, standing on Sakura's side. The girl looked at him. Something that Sakura recognized as admiration and trust flashed in her green orbs. She didn't respond. Pinkette decided to try once again. Where is your mom? This wasn't the best idea. She knew that even without Naruto's hiss, widened eyes and tears that appeared in them were enough to ensure her that she touched a sore topic. Sakura stood up to embrace her, but before she could make a step the girl launched herself at Naruto, hugging him tightly around his waist and burying her face in his stomach. Her shoulders started to shake from sobbing, but she didn't let out any sound. Naruto froze. Sakura saw his tensed muscles. She looked at his face and was utterly shocked by the sight of his face. Calm, collected Naruto, the one that always had a prepared plan and sarcastic respond, the one that just told her about a killing in such a way that she's sure that today it wasn't his first kill. This very man was now utterly and absolutely helpless against the little girl. He had completely no idea what to do with a child that was now soundlessly sobbing in his shirt. She almost burst out laughing when he looked at her, pleading for advices. It wasn't the right time, she knew it, but it's so different from his normal behavior that she couldn't help it. Embrace her, she mouthed to him. He nodded and slowly, awkwardly, put his arms around the shaking girl. Her only reaction was tightening her grip. After a few minutes of standing in a complete silence, Naruto noticed that he wasn't only embracing her, he's now holding her up. He looked at her closer and noticed that she cried herself to sleep. With a sigh he took her in arms. Still asleep she gripped his sweatshirt tightly and snuggled against his chest. Naruto sighed and looked at Sakura. Shut up, he said, seeing her partly amused, partly shocked face. Both of you, he added, turning around and walking away in the camp's direction. Sakura frowned at his words. I've never thought that I'll see his soft side. She turned around. A few feet behind her stood Sasuke, looking after the retreating redhead. He had similar face as she few seconds ago. Sasuke-kun, you should get some sleep, Sakura thought for a second. There's no point. In an hour it'll be my shift. I'll just be more sleepy. Go. We'll divide the watch between ourselves. Judging by the bags under his eyes and that we didn't see him even once during nights, I assumed that Naruto didn't sleep the whole week. We can give him a bit of rest. He looked at her and noticed that she had the same, slightly surprised, slightly amused look that she's giving Naruto. What? Sakura blushed and looked down when she realized that he caught her at staring. Nothing, she mumbled quietly. Sasuke grunted and turned around, but before he made even 2 steps Sakura added quietly, I just never thought that I'll see your soft side. Even if he heard her, he didn't show any sign of it. Sakura sighed, looking at his retreating back. She returned to the camp, lied down on her futon and closed her eyes, thinking about everything that she heard and saw. Last thing that saw was gray-haired girl's peaceful expression, still cuddling to Naruto's side. She didn't saw his face. Hood of his cloak was up, hiding it in the shadow. You sure of this? Naruto nodded. You will be forced to take care of her. If I won't, then nobody will. Even normally it'd be hard to find her home, but now? After all these attacks? Kakashi sighed and looked at her. She's sitting under a nearby wall with Sakura. Pinkette was talking to her right now. Do you even know anything about her? Not much, admitted Naruto. Only what I learned from one of the rescued women. Kakashi gave him a questioning look. Redhead sighed. Rue and her mother were traveling from the land of grass to somewhere in the land of fire. They left after a death of Rue's father a few weeks ago. Her mother was quite beautiful, so when they had the bad luck to be in one of the villages during one of the raids, she quickly drawn bandits' attention. They took Ruto to gain her mother's submission. To make things more fun, Naruto's eyes become cold, reminding Kakashi of another pair of blue eyes during great anger. They made Ru watch. Her mother died around 6 days ago. Naruto thought for a few seconds. I can't really tell you more. At least until I found a way to talk with her. She doesn't want to speak? I don't know, maybe she doesn't. Kakashi wanted to say something, but Naruto's faster. But I think that the bigger problem is that she can't. Genin shoot him a questioning one-eyed look. She's mute. You know that this will only make everything harder? Are you sure that? Ask me another 10 times. Interrupted Naruto. Who knows, maybe I'll change my mind? I've already thought about this, and I think that I have a solution. We only have to find her an apartment, or a house, and it'd be alright. I thought that you wanted to take care of her. You don't want her to live with you. It's not that I have anything against it, but considering my status, Naruto pointed at his stomach. I don't think that this is the best idea. Villagers should leave her if she'll just meet me sometimes, but if they notice that she's living with me, they could take her on target. Kakashi sighed. Unfortunately, it's quite possible. As his A and B guard, he saw few times how those kind for him were hurt. He suspected that it's the reason why Naruto's separating himself. The girl was actually someone that Konoha needed. As a Jinchuriki, they couldn't afford themselves to let him leave the village. Someone in Konoha that he'd be caring for could stop this from happening. And Naruto already seemed attached to her. Kakashi didn't like his own line of thoughts. But he's Konoha shinobi. He had to protect the village, even if it meant sacrificing his. Who abandon their comrades are worse than trash. Obito's words run through his mind. Memories of the last hours of his very best friend flooded Kakashi's mind. Image of his second friend, Rin, flashed in front of his eyes. Am I really ready to sacrifice Kakashi? Naruto's voice invaded his thoughts. We still have a few hours of the day, but in the end the sun will set, you know. Okay, silver-haired Genin looked at him for a few seconds before speaking again. Okay, I agree, we'll take the girl with us to Konoha. Until we reach it, you're responsible for her, after that we'll see. He then sent him an eye smile. And I'm not going to help you with her. He added cheerfully. You know what? Asked Naruto with a glare. This may be a bit shocking, but for some unknown to me reason I've never expected any help from you, lazy-ass sensei. Kakashi's eye smile disappeared, and Naruto heard him mumbling something like no respect, brats those days, and lazy-ass sensei. Come on, let's tell Ru about this. You didn't tell her? I wasn't sure about your answer, so I didn't want it to give her a false hope. Ru. Gray-haired head turned from something that Sakura was showing her with her hands. Come here. The girl jumped down from the box that she's sitting on and ran to them, looking at them with a question in eyes. We're thinking what to do with you and we've 2 ideas. Kakashi looked at her, wondering if she really couldn't talk. She may not be able to speak, but her eyes and face were so expressive that he almost could hear her voice, timid, curious and a bit scared, saying, What are you going to do with me? Well, first idea is for you to stay here. Ru's eyes widened. Don't worry, we'll find you a good family that will take care of you. Even if it'd mean using a few kunais. Added Naruto in his head. Her eyes watered. They noticed her disappointed and dejected look before she ran from their gazes. Once again, it was like hearing her voice, saying, You're going to leave me? If you don't like this idea, you can always come with us. Continued Naruto in an uncaring tone, looking at the clouded sky, but slight twitching of his lip betrayed him. Sensing her head shooting up, he looked down only to meet her green eyes boring into his blue ones. He kneeled on one knee with the corners of his lips curled in a small smile. We'll take you to Konoha. Once there, I'll take care of you. I won't be able to be there. All the 8 pair of small arms that went around his neck interrupted him. For a second he's too surprised to react, but he quickly composed himself and hugged her back, even if a bit awkwardly. They stayed like this for a few seconds before he chuckled. Should I take it as a yes? She stepped back and nodded vigorously with a radiant smile. Sakura watched this all with a smile of her own, thinking in the same time that during the last week she learned more about Naruto than during the whole academy. For example, she just learned how his real smile looked like. It wasn't the lip twitch one that until now she's taking as his real smile. It wasn't a smirk nor smug grin that he showed when he's teasing and provocating her or Sasuke-kun. It wasn't even this huge grin that she remembered from the first months of the academy. It's a small, but definitely happy smile. One that clearly showed his pleasure at Ru's decision. For a few seconds they're smiling to each other, before Ru rose her hands and with a cute frown started wriggling her fingers, forming a hand sign that, much to Kakashi's surprise, looked almost like time. Middle finger must be curled. Advised Naruto, making the hand sign himself. Like that. And as for an answer, Sasuke should be here soon with our backpacks, then we can move out. Oh? You want to leave already? Asked Kakashi. You don't? No, it's not like that. I was just sure that I'd have to order, plead and threat you to force you to move, and we'd still stay for at least a night. Really? Sakura and Naruto's sweat dropped seeing his obviously surprised, and a bit relieved face. Well, sorry to disappoint you, but Sasuke was pleading us with the teary puppy eyes. Guess he just miss home. Watch it, dope, said Sasuke, appearing behind Kakashi. He had his backpack on his back and was carrying second, equally huge, in his hands. Damn, they're heavy. He put the second one on the ground and breathed with relief. Why did I volunteer to this? He muttered under his nose.